have your notes for the hearing?
Hi, Roy.
All right. Good evening. We'll reconvene after our closed session. And at this time, we'll ask our clerk to report any actions taken in closed session.
Yes, there was one action taken in closed session on a 5-0 vote with trustees Fuentes and Jay absent. The board approved the expulsion of a full-time student pursuant to Ed Code 72122. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. And this evening, I will lead the invocation. If you would please rise and then stay standing for the pledge led by Trustee Lang. Dear Heavenly Father, we honor this blessed season tonight in recognition of the birth of Jesus Christ. We thank you for the many blessings of our great college district. We also celebrate this evening the season of Hanukkah. Guide us in our decision-making tonight that we will serve the students in the community of South Orange County Community College District to the best of our ability. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Please join me in the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We are going to have the very next item on our agenda is the Annual Organizational Meeting and Facilities Corporation meeting. So the first part of that is the election of board officers. So we have 3 board officers to elect: the president, the vice president, and the clerk. Do I hear anyone's nomination? Trustee Pendergast.
I nominate Nancy to continue as president.
Do you hear a second to that?
I second that.
All right, hearing no comments or discussion, let's vote on the item. Marcia Milchecker, you didn't vote?
Yes, I did.
And we have, thank you. It carries unanimously with 2 members absent. Trustee Jay and Trustee Fuentes are not with us, and 1 student advisory yes vote. All right, we now have to fill the office of Vice President of the Board. Do I hear a motion for that?
I nominate Trustee Prendergast to be Vice President of the Board.
And is there a second? Second. Seconded by Trustee Meldale. Any comments or questions?
Yeah,
All right, seeing none, let's vote.
No, I do.
Oh, you have a comment?
Can we not do like roommate law? The guy who's not here has to take on the responsibility. No.
A condition of your being vice
no.
president? If you're absent, we give you assignments, is what he's saying. All right, let's vote on the item. All right, it carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. All right, and our final officer is clerk of the board. Do I hear a nomination for that position? Trustee Meldale.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Trustee Melchiker.
Hear a second to that?
I'll second.
All right. Any comments or questions? Comments? All right, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory vote. All right, we are now at the part of establishing our regular meeting dates. So are there any, you all have seen the proposed meeting dates. Are there any difficulties or comments about those? No? Okay. You need some more time to consider them, or? Okay, let's go ahead and do I have a motion to approve the proposed trustee meeting dates?
Move to approve.
Moved by
second.
trustee Meldau and seconded by trustee Milchecker. Let's vote on the item. Okay, carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory vote. All right, the establishment of the agenda planning calendar. That's item D of 2.4. Any comments or questions on that? Okay. I'd entertain a motion that we approve the agenda planning calendar.
Move approval.
Moved by trustee Milchecker. Second, please.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Prendergast. No questions or comments. Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. And the next one is approval of the agenda format.
Move approval.
Moved by trustee Milchecker. Seconded by trustee Meldau. No comments or questions. Let's vote on that item. Okay, carries unanimously with 2 absent and 1 student advisory vote. All right, and we are now at special meeting of the Board of Directors, Facilities Corp., and we need to also elect officers to the Facilities Corp., and we also have to appoint a secretary and an assistant secretary.
I just need to remind you that we need to go back to Exhibits B and C to vote on those items.
Appointment of secretary and assistant secretary. Thank you. That's the part of that organizational meeting. So that would be 2.4B. Okay, Gary Portner was the secretary previously, and you were moving that he be appointed secretary this year, correct? All right, and the assistants for both, okay. Deborah
second.
Fitzsimmons. All right, very good. So we have a motion to appoint Gary Portner as the secretary and Deborah Fitzsimmons as the assistant secretary. Any comments or questions? Let's vote on the item. All right, carries unanimously with 2 absent trustees and a student advisory vote. And now we have to do the trustee representatives. I should not have forgotten that. So we have several organizations that we need to have trustee representatives for, and they are as follows: the representative to the nominating committee of the Committee on School District Organization, the district's political action representative to the Orange County School Boards Association, the liaison to the Orange County Community College Trustee Association, representative to the Orange County Legislative Task Force for Community Colleges, and the District Audit Committee. So, anyone want to volunteer or want to appoint your friend or enemy? All right, trustee Lang.
Yes, I'd like to move that the same individuals that served in these capacities do so again for another year.
Okay. Did you hear him? He didn't have his mic on. You want to say it again with your mic on?
My motion is for the same individuals that served in these capacities this past year
Yes.
take on those same responsibilities this coming year.
Okay, trustee Prendergast just made a comment to me that one of our trustees who is not here and is on hospice care is representative. So could you?
Who's the alternate?
Alternate is trustee Milchecker. So we could make her the representative and someone else the alternate like you.
Fine.
Okay, good. Look at that. How easy was that? All right. So then the change in the slate would be to make trustee Milchecker the representative to the Orange County Legislative Task Force with trustee Lang as the alternate. All right. Shall we vote then on that slate in one vote?
Yes.
All right. Very good. So
Good idea.
we have a motion by trustee Lang and a second by trustee Prendergast. Let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory vote. All right, and then we are at this point going to advance 6.1. I'm sorry. The Facilities Corp. Okay. I was trying to do that earlier, and then we got diverted. So we go to G, special meeting of the Board of Directors Facilities Corp. And
Second.
All right, and I believe that is the sitting board officers. separate treasurer. And who is that? Let's see.
I think it's
You, Dave. Oh, excellent. See? Good. And we have, pardon.
I believe you need to adjourn.
Yeah, we have
Yes,
to
we
adjourn
do.
the
Thank you very much for pointing that out. So we will adjourn our regular meeting and then move to the special meeting of the Board of Directors Facilities Court. All right.
You need a gavel.
I do need a gavel. Okay. All right. So with that, then we will entertain your motion if you would like to, since we're now in the Facilities Court meeting, if you would like to make it, Trustee Lang.
Motion I just said.
And do we have a second to his motion? All right. Are we all clear what we're voting on? I hope. All right. Let's vote on the item. All right. Carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and student advisory yes vote. So now we will adjourn the Facilities Corp and come back to the regular meeting. And now we will advance 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. So we're going to ask our council to come forth. This is a public hearing and on the exchange of property with the County of Orange at our campus located at ATEP, the Advanced Technology and Education Park at the closed Tustin Marine Base. And we have our counsel. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Good evening. My name is Andy Bernstein.
Let's see. Your mic is not on. We're having trouble. I have you on up here, but I don't hear. You need to be closer to it. Step right up to the
Hello,
mic.
can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Andy Bernstein. I am a shareholder with the law firm of Jackson, DeMarco, Titus, and Peckinpah, and we are special counsel to the district with respect to ATEP. I am pleased to present to the board this evening for its consideration the proposed land exchange agreement between the County of Orange and the South Orange County Community College District. The exchange agreement involves 2 10-acre parcels of land that you can see on the board over here, and I believe the map is also attached as exhibit. Is attached as exhibit B to the land exchange agreement. The parcel that is labeled as the SOCCCD exchange parcel is a 10-acre parcel that is currently owned partly in fee and partly by sublease by the district. And pursuant to this agreement, that parcel would be exchanged by the district for a parcel that is labeled on the map as the county exchange parcel. That parcel, also 10 acres, is currently owned by the United States Navy, but it is subject to a what's called a public benefit conveyance application by the county to the U.S. Department of Education. Pursuant to this agreement, what would happen in a series of steps is that the county would withdraw its request for that 10-acre parcel, which would allow the Navy to give that property to the city of Tustin as the local reuse authority for the former Marine base, and in turn would allow the city to give the property to the district. So it is a rather complicated transaction that really involves 4 parties, not just the district and the county, but also the city of Tustin and the Navy. However, this agreement, the only 2 parties to it are the district and the county. There are a number of steps that have to be taken before we can complete this land exchange. Some of those steps have already occurred. For example, the city of Tustin has passed a specific plan amendment that will allow the consummation of the land exchange. The city has also negotiated with the Navy an amendment to the agreement between the Navy and the city that covers all of the Tustin base that will again implement, that will allow this land exchange to occur. So there are further steps that still have to occur, and they are listed, they're conditions precedent to the closing. The basic point here is that we have a period of time several years to complete those various conditions to closing. And if those conditions to closing are not met, then the transaction does not occur. But this is an important first step in getting that process going in order to complete this exchange, which benefits both the district and benefits the county. So it is a situation where we're exchanging like for like, 10 acres for 10 acres, and it is a important step toward the development of the ATEP campus. I'm going to stop right there and see if there are questions from the board that I'd be happy to answer any specific questions.
I apologize. I should have let our Vice Chancellor, Deborah Fitzsimmons, make some comments. Would you like to do that at this time?
No, just after, if you have any
Afterwards.
questions for Mr. Bernstein. Otherwise, we'll bring up another individual.
Okay, so if we could, I don't have anyone wishing to make any comments at this time, so we'll move forward. If you could introduce the next person, please.
Correct. I'd like to now introduce Jeremy Kraut of RGP Planning and Development Services, who will present further information on the CEQA initial study and addendum to the County and District Land Exchange. Our counsel, Aileen Tabor of Jackson DeMarco, is also available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question. I didn't see you on my board here.
Just point of order. This item 6.1 is intended to be a public hearing, so it's
Correct.
not just members of the board,
That's
but
correct.
all members of the public that are able to ask questions, come up and make comments, et cetera. So I just thought that was...
I will, yes, I will ask for that once we have the full presentation. Yes.
What we're doing is an overview first, and then Trustee President Padberg will then open the public hearing
Right.
for the public comments and then close it if we have no comments.
Yes, but thank you for making that point, because there may be people in the audience wondering when they would have a turn.
That is
Okay,
correct.
proceed.
thank you, President Padberg and Board of Trustees. I'm Jeremy Kraut with RGP Planning and Development Services. We're an environmental and planning consultant to the district as well as the County of Orange in this case. We've been asked to analyze the environmental impacts of the land exchange. It is a physical, there is some physical orientation to the to property at the ATEP site and County of Orange site, so it is subject to the California Environmental Quality Act. So we have analyzed the project that Mr. Bernstein described a moment ago. For this project, the district is the lead agency under CEQA compliance associated with this land exchange agreement, really because it's the district is going to be carrying out, approving, and implementing the land exchange agreement with the county. It also is the lead agency because it's acting on the agreement first before the County of Orange. Later on, the County of Orange, at some point, we have not heard of their scheduled hearing date, but they will be acting on the exchange agreement as well. So in coordination with the district and the county as well as the city of Tustin, RGP prepared the addendum that you're considering tonight for the proposed land exchange agreement. And the County of Orange, again, will be taking action on this item on the land exchange agreement with the addendum as well. So the same addendum you're considering tonight, they will be considering this should it be moved forward at a later hearing date. The district and the county have also agreed that since the district will be considering the project before the county, so this was also a discussion that we've had with the county. They've said we want the district to move forward as the lead agency. So again, this is just a very coordinated effort with the county to get to this point. So related to the addendum that you're considering, in 1996, I'll briefly just provide a quick background before we got to this point with the addendum that you're considering. In 96, the City of Tustin prepared a final joint program environmental impact report and environmental impact statement, a combined document for the closure and disposal of, and reuse of the MCS Tustin base. Based on, so our addendum, we analyzed the proposed land exchange agreement in light of what was analyzed in that EIR environmental impact statement and environmental impact report that was prepared by the City of Tustin. We analyzed the land exchange agreement and related to its land use, which is not changing under the land exchange agreement, and the exchange of the property between the two parties. based on the analysis that you see before you tonight, the initial study and the addendum, the district determined that the potential impacts of the land exchange agreement and the exchange of the properties were previously analyzed in or are substantially similar to the impacts analyzed in the previously certified final impact report, final environmental impact report, environmental impact statement, and the subsequent addendums that were completed by both the district, for example, the concept plan phase 3 that was prepared a while ago. The city of Tustin prepared a number of addendums, including one most recently a couple months ago where they analyzed a specific plan amendment and the land exchange under their analysis. So in combination with all these addendums, the environmental impact report and the addendum that you're considering tonight, the analysis determined that the conditions identified by a couple of government codes that are related to CEQA, Public Resources Code 21166 and Section 15162 of CEQA guidelines, those apply, and thus an addendum is the appropriate environmental document. Just briefly, and more specifically on these codes, these are really just saying that the project, the implementation of this agreement, will not cause or result in changes in that require major revisions to the prior environmental documents, the EIR, the EIS, and all those addendums I mentioned, due to the involvement of significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified effects. The land exchange agreement will also not substantially change or result in substantial changes with respect to the circumstances under which the exchange agreement is undertaken that will require major revisions to those prior documents due to the involvement of new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified effects. And then finally, the land exchange agreement will not result in the availability of new information or substantial importance relating to significant effects or mitigation measures or alternatives that were not known or could not be known at the time that those prior documents were certified or approved. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or I'll turn it back to Chancellor.
Okay, we'll start with the board. Do you have any questions or comments from the board at this time? Okay. Then I would like to now open the public hearing and ask if there are any members of the public who would like to address the board or any of our consultants on this matter. Please come forward. You don't have to have filled out a request to speak. Seeing none, we will then close the public hearing. Thank you very much. Does the staff have any response to any of this before we close the public hearing? Okay, I guess.
And then after we close the public hearing, we move on to the two resolutions, 6.2 and 6.3.
Okay, 6.2 and 6.3, yeah. So we will now then move on. There's no vote at this point, right? All right, we'll now move on to 6.2. Would you present that, please, Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons?
Yes, if you move to 6.2, you can see this is board action for the ATEP resolution number 11.38, and this is voting to approve the environmental and CEQA documents.
That's our vote. All right, any comments or questions from any of the board members?
Do we do a roll call on that?
Does this need to be a roll call vote? No. All right, so seeing no comments or questions, let's move to a vote, please.
Do we have to move to approve it?
I guess we should move. I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion by Trustee Lang to approve it, and Trustee Prendergast seconded. Carries unanimously with one or two trustees absent and a student advisory yes vote. So now we are at 6.3. Would you present this, please, Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons?
Yes, this is item number 6.3, board action on ATEP resolution number 11.39. This resolution is for the Board of Trustees to approve the agreement for the exchange of real property between the County of Orange and the South Orange County Community College District at the ATEP and authorizing the Chancellor to sign the agreement.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Trustee Lang and a second from Trustee Prendergast. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with two absent trustees and one student advisory yes vote. All right, very good. Those are the three items that we needed to advance. And do we need to advance 6.4? Yeah. If we could advance 6.4. Okay. So we're going to have this presented by Jim Godsey. Thank you. Could you introduce yourself, please, Jim?
I sure will. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jim Godsey. I'm a partner with Macias Genie O'Connell, the external auditors for the district. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight, and especially for allowing us to go a little bit out of order.
Oh, I don't know.
I'd like to start out. You have, I believe, in your materials tonight, you have a complete set of reports that we've issued. Included in that is our letter dated November 23rd. It's addressed to the Board of Trustees. This is our what we refer to as our required communications. So as part of the audit standards at this point, require that we come through and make certain communications to the governing board, in this case the full trustees, Board of Trustees. And I'll just kind of go through the highlights that are included in that letter. Basically, I want to let you know that we have completed our examination of the financial statements of the district for the year ending June 30, 2011. And we've issued our report on those financial statements dated November 23rd. Our report indicates that the financial statements fairly present, in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards, the results of the operations of the districts and the financial position as of June 30th. Our audit was performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and it also included the governmental auditing standards. Because you receive certain amount of federal financial assistance, it's a requirement that that be done in accordance with both AICPA standards and the governmental standards. We performed work under both of those to our satisfaction. There were no restrictions placed upon us during the course of the audit. We were allowed to look at anything that we asked for, and we received a great deal of cooperation from the district employees. Based upon that, that was our conclusion. We were able to express our opinion, as I mentioned before. That's the unqualified opinion, which is, it sounds negative, but it's actually the positive opinion that your financial statements do present. We did have the opportunity to also meet with the members of the audit committee on November 16th, and we had a little bit of more time to go through and somewhat detail the actual financial statements, and went through a number of questions and comments there. I want to point out that, just to make sure everyone understands what our responsibilities under generally accepted accounting auditing standards is, that we're the external auditors. Our responsibility is to audit the financial statements that are representations of management. So management, with some assistance from us, but management takes full responsibility over those financial statements. And they have actually signed a representation letter to us, making a statement that they believe that everything that should be in the financial statements has been included. Everything that's in the financial statements is correctly stated. So we've got management's full understanding and agreement to the completeness and the accuracy of the financial statements. And then we have come through and performed all of those procedures that we felt were critical to allow us to reduce to a low level of risk that these financial statements do fairly present. One of the areas I want to share with you, and we share with all of our clients, and the complexity in the financial statement reporting process, one of the areas you're always looking at is anytime you have estimates. So if there's a type of activity that requires some estimating type process on the part of management, that always gets a little bit of extra attention from the external auditors. We point out in our letter that there's two areas that we really wanted to emphasize for you all. One is the dealing, it's note 8 to the financial statements. It deals with the early retirement incentive. So the Board of Trustees adopted during the fiscal period a early incentive retirement package. That package is actually going to be paid out over a period of 5 years. But under current standards, since the benefits attributed to the early out were all associated with them leaving at this point or prior to June 30th, the entire amount of that liability or the expense has been recorded in your financial statements. So you already reflected the full cost of that, even though it's going to be paid out over the next 5 years. The second area is dealing with your retiree medical. Retiree medical gets a tremendous amount of attention, especially in Southern California, all of California, because of the cost and the impact, and especially the unfunded portion that many, many organizations have. The district has recorded its financial liability, and there is no unfunded liability on the part of the district. The district has paid basically the full accrued amount on an as-you-go basis. So those are included in the financial statements. Just a couple of other items that I wanted to point out. We did identify several items that we felt were needed to be corrected in the financial statements and the accounting records. Management's agreed with those, and all of those items have been included in the financial statements. Individually, they were not material to the financial statements and would not have caused the financial statements to be materially incorrect had they not been recorded, but management has agreed, and we've included those. We did not have any disagreements with management. There was no challenge as to accounting standards that management felt it should be recorded one way, and we felt that it should be recorded a different way. And the last item I wanted to mention on the basic financial statements is just in the report, the table of contents. You'll see we go through the various components here. And we also have included in there is what we refer to as required supplemental information and just supplemental information. These are items that basically are being presented. We don't do the same level of test work. We give you an in relationship to opinion. In other words, we've gone through and we've looked at that information. We see that it comes from the accounting records. It's consistent with the information that's being included in the basic financial statements, but we don't do the same amount of work that's required to express an opinion on the financial statements. And that is what is expected. That's why it's listed as RSI and supplemental information. So that's the basic financial statements, our basic report on the financial statements. We also included in the package is our reports on single audit. Anytime you have federal financial assistance, funds received from the federal government, if it exceeds $500,000, there's a requirement to have an audit of those funds in accordance with the Single Audit Act and A133. We have performed that test. The numbers are included in here. We did not have any exceptions or question cost. In addition to that, our contract requires that we perform an audit in accordance with the state compliance or compliance audit over state issues. And there's a series that are listed in the report. There's a whole series of items that we're expected to look at. This is basically the state's way of coming through and saying, okay, yeah, you have your generally accepted auditing standards, and we know that you're looking at the financial numbers that way. But in addition to that, there's some issues here that we specifically want the external auditors to come through and look at and test and report back. As part of that, we did have one finding, and let me skip. I don't want to skip. I'll come back to those findings in just one moment. So we did have one finding, state compliance finding, and I'll come back to that. The last item that I wanted to mention is, and I believe it's in your package as well, both of the foundations, the college foundations, both of them are included in this package as component units. So there's a separate column in this particular case that identifies those. So we have not only included them in the basic financial statements for the district, but we've also issued our standalone reports dealing with those foundations.
We have the foundation audit as a separate agenda item, which will follow this agenda item.
Okay.
Okay.
So wanted to get back to the findings. What we do is we track not only the current year findings, but we also, as I'll report, we track all prior year findings until such time as they've been resolved to our satisfaction. So for the current year, there was only one finding that was dealing with the state compliance, And specifically, it was dealing with what they refer to as TBA hours. This is to be arranged hours. And these represent where a student is taking a lab. And so you have your classroom hours, and then you also are required to have some lab hours. And those lab hours, the tracking system, we did not feel met the state requirements as far as the tracking of the actual hours for that lab time. So we have a finding there. We've identified that, and that was our one item. Management has reviewed that. They've agreed to that finding, and included in the report is management's response and corrective, at least partial corrective plan. So that was the only new finding for 2011. In the report, we've also carried forward from 2010 two findings. One, and probably the more significant, was a finding on IT. And last year, while we felt that in most respects, the district's IT process and systems actually are probably far superior to what we see in many, many cases in similar type clients, we did have a few areas where we felt there were still room for additional improvement. All of those items were implemented during the current year, and we feel that you have a very outstanding, at this point in time, set of controls over your IT process for the district. The second finding last year was just there was one late submission. It was one of the smaller programs. It was corrected this year because the program doesn't exist anymore. So it was actually last year was, I think it was filed. It was filed, but it was filed 13 days late. Unfortunately, we had to report that under the standards. And the last one is from 2009. There was a finding dealing with the Form 700. This is the disclosures at the trustee level. And that had not been fully implemented last year, so we kept it in there, kept tracking it. That has been fully implemented during 2011. That's my basic presentation. If there's questions, I'd like to entertain those at this time.
Okay. Do I have any trustees with comments or questions? Okay. Sounds like a pretty good report. So with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the audit report for review. Moved by Trustee Meldow, seconded by Trustee Milchecker. Let's vote on the item. Okay, carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. So then we'll move to the next one, which is the foundation audit, and we'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you. Again, as I mentioned before, there are the 2 foundations that we audit separately. So we issue our standalone reports on those foundations. And because they do qualify as component units within the accounting literature, they're also included as a separate column here in the district's financial statements combined. Both of those are unqualified, clean opinions, indicating that they fairly present. We'd also had the chance, also on November 16th, to meet with individuals, a few board members, and members of management from both of the foundations. We went through those preliminary reports at that point in time. They've been finalized since. So there were no identified internal weaknesses in internal control that needed to be reported. So that basically is where we're at on the 2 foundation audits.
Comments or questions about the foundation? Trustee Lang. Oh, motion to accept by Trustee Lang. Second? Second by Trustee Milchecker. Let's vote on the item. Seeing no one else wishing to comment. Carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone.
Okay, great. Now, I know. Our district administrative assistant has reminded me that our vote that we took on the facilities corp needs to be clarified because it wasn't clear. We voted to accept the slate from last year, and we didn't approve something that we should have approved last year. So we will now go back to the Facilities Corp. I will close the regular meeting and open the Facilities Corp meeting. And apparently, it's been recommended that the Chancellor be appointed to the Office of Assistant Secretary and the Vice Chancellor of Business Services to the Office of Assistant Treasurer. Now, I thought we had, let's see, Assistant Secretary, Gary Portner, elected Secretary, and Deborah Fitzsimmons, the Assistant Secretary, but we also have to have an Assistant Treasurer. Is that correct? That's the distinction? Because we didn't do that last year. So we not only have to have an Assistant Secretary with Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons, we also have to make her the office of the Treasurer, correct? Is that the distinction? You want to speak to that?
Correct. And what we're asking is that it's by position rather than name, so that if they're, if I were, it's just better, it's recommended to do it that way.
Okay, so then we will not say your name. We will appoint, we need a motion to appoint the Chancellor as the Assistant Secretary and the Vice Chancellor of Business Services as to the office of Assistant Treasurer as well as Assistant Secretary. Is that correct? So that will then supersede our prior action. All right. Any comments or questions? Everyone's clear, right? All right. Let's vote on. Let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and a student advisory yes vote. I will now close the Facilities Corp and reopen our regular board meeting. And I believe we can now go back to the regular agenda, and we are at 2.5 resolutions, and we have one resolution which our Saddleback College president will present. You want to take it down to him, TJ?
Yes,
You can read it. Our clerk will read the resolution. And do we have someone here to receive it? Okay. Would you like to introduce the person? He'll come down and just wait until he gets to the podium and introduce who's going to receive it.
this, I'll just tell you what the resolution is for. It's the resolution for the Saddleback College student winners of the College Broadcasters Incorporated National Student Production Awards, October 26th to October 30th, 2011.
And President Burnett, you're going to introduce the people who are going to receive this award, please?
Do that. Thank you very much. We're very proud of you folks. Thank you for coming out tonight. As you all know, this resolution is for a wonderful achievement. I think this is the first time, correct, that Saddleback College has ever had this distinction, which is pretty high up since they were national winners of out of, which I love is that this is out of 580 entries that were including all college, four-year colleges and universities. So you did not only well for Saddleback College, but certainly for all of our community colleges across the nation. So it's an amazing feat. But I'm very pleased here to introduce the team that won. First, Best DJ. That is the greatest distinction, by the way. Best DJ is Kelly Jones. The winner of is the Bullets to Bubbles. Bullets to Bubbles is Zach Rodriguez, Ryan Rodriguez. You're related? You're not even related, okay. And Larissa Garrett. And what's very exciting and certainly very fitting for our college and our district is that they created a documentary which won the award, which was a documentary on returning military veterans and scuba diving, of all things. And so we're very proud of that. As you know, we have a rich history here in support of our veterans. So it's just fantastic what you did. So with that in mind, do you want me to extend this right now?
Absolutely, and we need to have some photos, too.
Yeah, let me read the resolution, okay?
We have to vote. We have to vote, so hold on. It's not official until we vote.
No, first I have to read the resolution, then we vote. So I just want to mention that because of this, I've been listening to not only KSBR all weekend, but also online OrangeCountyRockRadio.com, and I'm very, very impressed with your work. And I know KSBR in our media department is just top notch, and our students go on to get jobs in the community because their learning lab is listened to by our entire community. So anyway, this is the resolution. I'm very proud. Whereas at the 2011 National Student Media Convention in Orlando, Florida, Saddleback College Cinema, Television, Radio students Deborah Hill, Producer-Director, Zach Rodriguez, Assistant Director, Ryan Rodriguez, Cinematographer, Assistant Director, and Larissa Garrett, Boom Operator, took first prize in the Best TV Documentary Public Affairs category for their documentary From Bullets to Bubbles. And Kelly Jones took first prize in the Best DJ category for her work on Saddleback College radio station, KSBR 88.5 FM. And whereas in both categories, more than 580 entries were received within 80 stations or classes represented among the finalists, mostly from 4-year institutions and colleges. And whereas the film students displayed a tremendous work ethic and true dedication in the production of their 22-minute documentary about a group of disabled veterans who are trying to reinvent their lives through scuba diving. And whereas Kelly Jones, an advanced radio broadcasting student, is recognized for her work on KSBR 88.5 FM, Let's Be Jazzed, and also heard on the college web-based station, OrangeCountyRockRadio.com. And whereas these students are an excellent example of the quality students in Saddleback's cinema, television, radio program, due in no small part to the outstanding faculty and staff, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend cinema, television, radio students Deborah Hill, Zach Rodriguez, Ryan Rodriguez, Lisa Garrett, and Kelly Jones for their outstanding dedication and well-deserved recognition. And now we could read the resolution. Thank you.
Trustee Lang. Aye. Trustee Meldau. Aye. Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Padberg.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast. Student Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Great.
Yeah, great. I wonder if they could.
Comment?
I'll let you comment first, okay?
Thank you very much to the board. Thanks for everybody for the applause. I wanted to thank, like you said, the faculty here at Saddleback, fabulous faculty in the CTVR department. Terry Waddell is the one that submitted my air check. I had no idea that he had done it, so he saw something in me. And I have to run because at 7 o'clock I do have a show on OC Rock Radio for 3 hours, so I have to go real quick. But and because of the wonderful education and my drive to do this, I was able to get a full-time job at Playlist 92.7, so I'm gainfully employed. Which is really difficult to, for a lot of people to say. So I'm very blessed. Thank you very much, and I'm very honored for this. And can we get another copy for all of us?
Oh, yes. Let's get copies for everyone, please.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'll let these guys talk now. Thank you.
All right. Next. Step right up. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, first of all, thank you. We're used to being
Did you
behind
introduce
cameras.
yourself? I'm sorry. We don't recognize your face all that clearly.
Sure. Sorry. My name is Zach Rodriguez. I was the assistant director for the film. We are used to being behind the camera, so we don't talk a lot. But it's a nice award, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Bart McHenry. I'm Dean of Fine Arts and Media Technology. I just wanted to thank you for your support for the arts, and I too will be running because there's a jazz combo concert at 7 o'clock tonight. So thank you very much for your support of the arts. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We are now at public comments. Do we have any requests to speak? Okay. Thank you. Okay. We will then move to reports, board reports, and we'll start with Trustee Meldau.
Oops, wrong button. I have no report tonight, but I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holidays and a happy new year. And let's have a great holiday season.
Thank you. Trustee Milchiker.
I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the wonderful holiday programs that are taking place at both campuses, both colleges, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. And I was able to attend the dance performance at Irvine Valley College. And one of the things that really made my mind up, convinced me actually to go to the dance concert this year, was on tonight's agenda, our dance classes, or the dance team actually, we're approving them, I hope, to go to Utah for a competition with the University of Utah, and also to have an exchange program with another school in Paris, France, this summer. So our students will have an opportunity to be trained by a choreographer in France, and those students will come here. These are totally self-funded by students, and I'm just really pleased to have that on the agenda. And the dance performance was just wonderful. I see that the head of the dance, the department here, Ted Weatherford, and many of the dance faculty are here too. I also attended the Feast of Lights at Saddleback College, which was a wonderful, wonderful singing of music of the seasons from our orchestra and playing of wonderful, wonderful music from our orchestra and from our chorale, and with a sing-along at the very end, and it's one of my favorite things to do this season. And I just want to remind all the people that what wonderful opportunity you have to attend these programs at our colleges. So thank you.
All right. Trustee Prendergast.
Yeah, just I also was able to attend the dance performance at IVC on Friday evening. Thank you very much to Ted Weatherford and Glenn for inviting us. Brought the whole family of dancers. My wife and children are all involved in dance, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Especially like the adaptation of Dr. Begay's Turtles. Dancing Turtles. It was excellent. Also, wanted a couple thank yous. Thank you for all those who rated my Mo and donated to Movember.com. I think the largest contributor was Trustee Milchiker. Thank you very much. I had also thanked the IT department for fixing the email login so I don't have to do it twice. My name is long enough. That is kind of a pain, so that's good. Also, I promised my daughter that when we get to the board requests that we would be looking into planting a tree for every meeting we have, because she saw this sitting on the doorstep and she was sad. Anyway, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. And I'll just make a very brief report. And I would like to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. It's a very busy time of year, but also very enjoyable. And it's almost as busy as May, our graduation month. But I was able to attend the Feast of Lights with Trustee Milchiker and our Chancellor and our President Burnett. And I missed the IVC program on Friday night. I apologize. I went to the football banquet on Sunday, and before I went to the Feast of Lights in the evening. I plan to be at the nurses' pinning tomorrow night, and then on Thursday night at the women's soccer banquet. So that's my report. We will now move on to Trustee Lang.
Thank you. I just have a couple of items myself. One is I wanted to acknowledge those schools that were recently announced in the K-12 area that did so well in terms of their performance, improving test scores, and I thought that certainly South Orange County in particular and Orange County in general was very well represented and really did a fine job. Obviously, people are just doing a great job out there and want to acknowledge that effort. And then finally, just wanted to wish everybody a healthy and happy holidays and terrific new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Student Trustee Larson.
Hi, yes. My report is also brief tonight. I do want to announce that I got accepted into Cal State Fullerton for fall of 2012. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would just like to thank the board and all who are involved for serving the students outstandingly, and thank you very much for the resources and the effort that goes into exceeding at Saddleback. And also, I'll be at the nurses pinning tomorrow, as I mentioned last board meeting. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Okay, very good. Chancellor's report.
First thing I'd like to do is to bring your attention and to highlight tonight's presentation to the board on programs that the colleges would like to offer at ATEP in the initial offerings when we get our permanent buildings. And so you'll hear this presentation and have an opportunity to ask questions. And in the next month, I'll be bringing this back to ask for the board to approve proceeding in these directions. The next item normally is covered by trustee on the legislative task force, but Trustee Fuentes is out ill. So just as a brief report, the Orange County Legislative Task Force, which consists of all 4 community colleges in Orange County, met last week and agreed that they would join together in one voice to advocate for programs to better support our veteran students. The first part of that is to extend priority registration to a period of 15 years. And the second part is to change Title V that would extend the period of veterans to obtain in-state residency from 1 year to 4 years. That makes sense? Okay. Another thing, I have an official duty here, and I have a plaque for Trustee Padberg, and as our tradition every year, the outgoing president of the board receives a plaque. Of course, she's also incoming president, and it states, in appreciation to Nancy Padberg for your service as president, Board of Trustees for the year 2011, and I suspect you'll be getting another one of these, maybe in a year.
Thank you very much. I just want to comment that the previous ones that I received had a hammer gavel, and I don't know what happened. What happened with the hammer gavel?
These are difficult financial times. We can.
He's probably afraid of having me with a hammer.
Okay, and last time I'd also like to extend my wishes for a happy holiday season to all of you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're now at board requests for reports. Do I have any board members requesting reports? Trustee Pendergast.
As I promised my daughter, I would like to request we plant a tree somewhere in honor of all the paper generated at each meeting.
That would take a report request on what it would take to plant a tree, which you would then have to use part of that tree to bring the report back. You do understand we're requesting a report.
Following my daughter's request. I'm just being a good father.
Okay, well, you could say that you would like to give up the report in return for the tree going in the ground.
I would love to give up the... Never mind.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we are now at our discussion item, I do believe, right? So I'll let... Okay, we're going to ask that our representatives from the 2 colleges come up to talk about how they think ATEP should be developed. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
My name is Craig Justice. I'm Vice President for Instruction at Irvine Valley College. Let me bring up the presentation. The mouse is a little bit slow tonight. We didn't feed it, apparently. It's the PowerPoint. Yeah? Just push it. Yeah. And it's that one. Thank you. I'll take it from here. Thank you. Board President Padberg and members of the board, Chancellor Portner, members of the audience, we're here tonight to share with you some of our planning efforts regarding the Irvine Valley College planning regarding programs that we would like to offer at the ATEP facility. The Advanced Technology and Education Park provides Irvine Valley College with the unique opportunity to support emerging technologies and build a world-class workforce. Regarding the mission that we have, ATEP with IVC here in the lead on this front will be able to provide curriculum that's regional in character and international in scope, thus fulfilling the mission. ATEP provides a synergistic collaboration and strategic alliance with local and global partners. You'll see some of that in some of our later slides. The ATEP site will enable Irvine Valley College to complete its planning on building out our career technical education and workforce training programs. It's a unique opportunity for us to focus our efforts in innovative career preparation and partnership building alliances and initiatives with numerous universities, colleges, and businesses. The Advanced Technology and Educational Park has a lot of institutional support from faculty and administration and students of Irvine Valley College. The faculty have endorsed and support the project, the planning that goes behind it. And our student services area plans a full range of student services support programs, and the area of instruction as well provides some planning regarding library services and other instructional support services. So we've done a lot of planning in this regard to make this a very successful venture. As we all know, the proximity that ATEP has in being in the center of the county, this close proximity to industries, educational partners, and others provides a significant advantage to us as we develop Irvine Valley College's opportunities for career technical education programs. The labor market demand and research behind all of this is critical. It is a driver in the process. We don't make any decisions without data at Irvine Valley College, and you'll see some of the results of the research related to the programs that we plan to offer. Joining me tonight are Dr. Lisa Davis Allen, President of the Irvine Valley College Academic Senate, and Dr. Kathy Worley, Dean of Academic Programs, who will share with you some of the anchor programs that we would like to bring to the ATEP facility. Lisa?
Again, good evening, and I'm happy to be able to be involved in this presentation because it is so closely aligned with faculty and, of course, the courses and the programs that we will eventually see find their way out to ATEP. There are three proposed what we'd like to call program anchors that we would advance to the ATEP site in multimedia, green technology, and applied technology. To introduce you to the first of the three technologies that we would like to see developed on that site, I'll speak to the multimedia programs. There are already well-established courses and a strong and growing program in digital media art at IVC, and we would like to use that as an anchor that spreads into multimedia at the ATEP site in both design and production. And that would include not only 3D animation, but motion graphics and video production. All three of those areas have charter courses that have recently been developed and are beginning to be offered already on the IVC campus, so they would be in strong support and a good anchor as we spread to ATEP. The most recent data of the labor market shows really good numbers for the digital media arts and specifically for multimedia in Orange County. Currently, it shows that there are over 300 projected annual job openings in graphics, animation, and multimedia across the board, including design in the Irvine, Santa Ana, and Anaheim metro area. In addition to that, it also shows an annual rate of over 200 projected openings in both gaming and simulation, both connected to design, production, and development out of the multimedia area. We also see an expansion under multimedia technology in programs that relate to recording technology and the entertainment world, the entertainment business, and our partnerships there, specifically as we reach out in the development of simulation and gaming design. I have 2 young adult sons and 3 young adult stepsons. I can tell you gaming design is big in Orange County. At ATEP, we would see the strength in partnerships in our region, in the area right around us, through entertainment, computer design, and, of course, the defense corporations and the defense partners that would come into play in things like simulation, such as Boeing, Raytheon, and Blizzard. With that, I'd like to introduce Kathy Worley, who will talk to you about the following green technology and applied technology.
Good evening. Our second anchor area is alternative energy systems, and this is an area we currently have a grant in. We've developed some curriculum, but we see this as something that's going to burgeon in the near future. It involves design, installation, and troubleshooting of solar photovoltaics, wind, and fuels. The labor market data isn't very impressive as it reflects the current economy, but as the economy gets stronger, you're going to see this area just explode in terms of jobs. What we're working and concentrating on now is the resource management, recycling, and waste. But when we start getting into the solar, you're going to see some tremendous growth opportunities within this program area. We're getting into zero waste management, and we all know that green is profitable. We have current partners that are working with us. Some of these are going to be surprises in terms of not being commonly associated with green, but automobile companies are working very hard to try to get that message across. Hospitals, anything that has a physical plant is looking at becoming energy efficient. We see that this is going to actually provide opportunities for more partnerships once we are delivering the curriculum on a large scale and seeing some synergies in other partnerships. Another hub area is applied technology. IVC currently offers some pre-engineering transfer courses. We're looking at building that program out. We have a UC CSU Articulation Pathways program and a Transitions Project Lead the Way program currently in place. The labor market in this area is huge. Just in projected annual openings for applied technology, currently you see 433 projected annual job openings in our metropolitan area. This doesn't include the opportunity for entrepreneurs, which we think is pretty great. The advanced manufacturing will include biomedical, biotech devices, optics, photonics, as examples of some of the courses that we will offer both in credit instruction but also in contract education and fee-based development. Product development is an exciting area because we can take it from the conceptual sketching, often done on the back of a napkin, to solid work drafting programs and then to rapid prototyping. There's more manufacturing going on in this area of the state than probably any other, which is nice to know. And again, we have existing partnerships, and we're looking at building more based on the synergies that we'll get from this anchor area.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Lisa. Regarding the actual facility that we plan to talk to you about tonight and show you what we would like to offer in that facility, everyone in this room, I think, has been involved in facilities planning. And programming a facility, particularly one of 30,000 gross square feet like this one is intended to be, is a very exciting opportunity, but it's also one that has to be done carefully. So what you'll see is a grouping of classrooms, laboratories, and a fleshing out, so to speak, of the programs we intend to offer that reflects our flexibility. Student demand can vary very quickly, and we need to adapt to that to enable them to be successful. Innovation is at the core of our planning, and we need a place to exhibit those things that we do best, particularly in entrepreneurial efforts and various opportunities for us to exhibit the work product of our students in their portfolios, particularly as they apply to the art institutes and other areas where they would like to become employed. So regarding the facilities programming, let me give you a virtual tour of the space. What you're seeing here is a rendering of the reception area that you might see as you enter our facility. It's a very welcoming place. It's a place where the administration has a lot of talented support going on to make sure everything's working well. But more important, there's a reception function here, very important for students and the public to get answers to questions that they have. Students have questions about the programs that are offered. Often they just need to know where is the laboratory where I'm taking my multimedia course. And in addition to that, entrepreneurs, business people, business partners will need space to meet with us and others in a variety of conference rooms. The current ATEP facility has one conference room essentially, and it's very helpful. We anticipate that one or two smaller conference rooms in addition to that would be very, very helpful. But that's a relatively important but minor area for the building. The core of the building has to do with our classrooms and laboratories. Here's a rendering of a multimedia lab where you will see state-of-the-art computers maximizing the teaching effectiveness of our digital art program, media art program. And again, the focus is on student success. A typical multimedia lab at the Art Institute will look like this, with significant interaction between the professor or peer tutors or what have you, helping students develop their portfolios on the computer equipment. Now, overall, a 30,000 square foot building might be able to provide something on the order of 17,000 square feet of classroom and laboratory space, not including some space for library, which will primarily be an electronic library at this facility. What you'll see here is a grouping of about a dozen or so classrooms and laboratories plus an outdoor laboratory, which will enable us to schedule efficiently. It will enable us to yield a projected 650 to 700 FTES per year, which is an optimum level of FTES for a facility this size. I've been involved in developing 6 facilities of about this size, and they can become very successful very fast if the planning behind it is carefully thought out and orchestrated. So we anticipate a relatively large auditorium to serve the public, and the curriculum there, perhaps 75 seats. We're basing this experience on our own business, science, technology, innovation building, the BISTIC building on the Irvine Valley College campus. It seats about 75 and has a very significant multimedia support. It's heavily used, and it's very robust, very flexible. Some lecture rooms will be needed for science, technology, engineering, some of those STEM courses that are part of the hub, in addition to lecture courses in the general ed area, just a small number of courses in the general ed area to support the associate degrees that the students are seeking. Students must take an array of arts, humanities, social sciences, as well as math and writing in order to get the associate's degree. And so some classroom space is needed for that. The heart of the facility, though, will rest in its labs, because career technical education programs typically specialize in a variety of technologies. The curriculum needs those technologies to teach the students how to perform and reach the student learning objectives in the curriculum. So we anticipate at least 4, perhaps 6 state-of-the-art computer labs, efficiently designed. In addition, manufacturing, solar, optics, electronics, and alternative energies labs might number around 6, in addition to an outdoor solar lab. If you do teach solar, it is important to have access to sunshine. So an outdoor solar lab is certainly a needed laboratory space here in this site. Here's what an outdoor solar lab typically looks like. You'll see the roof array very close to the ground. We don't want to put the students at risk, but the angle of the roof and so forth is a good simulation of what the students will experience once they get hired and start to install the solar collectors. Now, that proximity that we talked about, that ATEP brings us, you can see in this map that ATEP is in the heart of Orange County, and in the immediate area are numerous universities and other community colleges, and within 5 miles is a collection of at least 6 universities and 4 community colleges, including Irvine Valley College. Not to mention high schools, which are our feeders, and the ROPs that teach the career technical. These are the regional occupational programs that teach high school students various curriculum in career technical. They need somewhere to go to get the training for the advanced skills that they will need in the workplace. There are government agencies and not-for-profit agencies that also have an interest in partnering with us and are part of our community linkages. The array of curriculum then can be summed up by pointing out that the curriculum can be delivered by credit courses, contract education courses, and fee-based courses. Some students only want skills certification, and there will be a Microsoft Office certification curriculum offered in an office simulator in one of the labs that will get Microsoft Office certification, which is a highly employable skill in the workforce. We have close connections with the Workforce Investment Board of Orange County, and so far they report that Irvine Valley College has a program that they've been able to work with well and very successfully. It's also an opportunity to provide space to engage in grant-funded training, and we see that particularly in the manufacturing areas. So Irvine Valley College is poised and ready to deliver the goods. We want to be an important contributor in our region with science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing. We want to be that workforce training hub that's close by, and what guides us is student success and potential partner opportunities with corporations and other universities. We're very happy to know that faculty, our academic senate has endorsed it with a white paper, with a position paper, and that is referenced here in the some of the references for our report tonight, which I commend to you to look at your convenience. So that closes our presentation, and I'd like to open it up to you or anyone else for questions.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, I guess you did a pretty good job. So no questions or comments, but it sounds exciting.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now we'll go ahead.
Minimize this so the Saddleback College colleagues can bring theirs up.
We'll have Saddleback's presentation about their program at ATEP.
IVC for a fabulous presentation, to the trustees, the president, Padberg, to our chancellor and all of the audience, and particularly to the Saddleback College family from Health Sciences and Human Services, who want you to know how excited they are about what we have come up with and want to share with you. You will be receiving a handout, but you don't have it now because we would like you just to sit back and relax.
I like that.
And later we'll test you. What we would like to do, we've taken a totally different approach. IVC has focused on emerging technologies, which is an area that is absolutely critical. We've chosen to focus on an area of the workforce that has been with us for a long time, continues to grow, is central to all of our lives, and that's the area of healthcare. And we'd like to share with you our vision of a Center for Innovation in Healthcare Education. So as I said, sit back and relax. and later we'll entertain all the details and questions. Prior to January 15th, 2009, Captain Sullenberger had never landed an airplane in the water. But he'd done it numerous times in the simulator. And as a result, when the time came for him to put that U.S. airplane down in the Hudson River, he knew exactly what to do. And because of his experience in the simulator, every one of those passengers and crew walked away. We feel and we believe that healthcare workers, healthcare students, and recipients of healthcare deserve that same opportunity. And so we'd like to share with you what began as the Saddleback College Training and Simulation Center, but has evolved into that Center for Innovation in Healthcare Education. And how might it look? Well, first let's share the vision as a whole, and that is to establish a regional simulated healthcare center looking very much like the healthcare centers you visit in reality that would provide an innovative, risk-free environment to address the multiple safety, training, and skill maintenance needs of allied health workers, including students and the community. It might look something like this just in a broad conceptual framework. There'd be an emergency department if we start over here in the upper corner. And following the emergency department, there would be patient care units, again, looking very much like real patient care units, except, of course, for the patients, who would be quite different. Clinical laboratories. And I have to tell you that over the past couple of years, a few simulated healthcare environments have been built and opened by educational facilities. None of them as comprehensive as we are proposing, because Southern California is in need of a regional center. And it needs to address not just the typical clinical patient care needs, but it needs to include such things as clinical laboratories. You heard about the biotech companies here. They need a place. We have a medical lab technician program, and the clinical lab scientists are in desperate need of having that pathway be replenished. There are very few of them left. Patient services in a broad range, and we'll show that to you in a minute. Moving to the other side, as far as we know, there are none of these facilities that have opened contain an area for medical records. And I think you're all aware of the change and switch over to electronic health records and the mandate that by 2014, every single healthcare record be electronic. And that means every single healthcare worker needs to know how to work with them. So there would be an area of medical records and a training, education, and conference center, somewhat different from what's proposed by AVC, but quite complementary to it. Now, this is the part we're going to test you on, but not at least for a month. We just wanted to give you a sense of what that emergency department might consist of, or the patient care units. So we're talking about an emergency room, an ER, an ambulance bay, patient registration area, and a waiting area. Anyone who has ever spent any time in a hospital emergency room knows that those folks need a lot of training to help with the problems and the upset people and everything else that's going on. The patient care units would look very much like any inpatient hospital center. Ortho, medical, surgical, nursing, OB, and you can see the list. The clinical laboratories would not only serve as an opportunity for students and laboratory workers and personnel to practice, but as a demonstration center for those biotech companies that make the kind of equipment that would be used there. Patient services, we'd have a pharmacy. We don't have a pharmacy program at Saddleback, but several people in the community do. And this needs to be comprehensive and regional, so we want to include that. Behavioral health, which again, not typically part of these simulated environments, but such an important part of healthcare with mental health and substance abuse. Going over to the other side for medical records, billing and coding and admitting, and that all-important health information management. We do have a health information technician program, a 2-year program that has served as a wonderful, wonderful complement to help bring all those folks out there working in healthcare settings up to date. And an assessment center in the training and education center that would include some classrooms, an auditorium, but very important, an assessment center for all of those specialized exams that healthcare providers have to take in order to get certified to deliver care. And if we were to look at it, and kind of get a feel of what it would be like, because that chart certainly doesn't help you, this happens to be the entry to the Healthcare Simulated Center at a small community college in Iowa. All it has really is some nursing units and an ER because they have a paramedic program. But how we would love to have such a thing. And nearby, of course, sometimes you would find that hallway would be filled with a gurney or two and utilized. Also, on that same side of the building, a patient ward, a patient care area. Some members of the board had an opportunity to see a simulation last spring and know how realistic these are and how important it is to be able to practice in a risk-free environment. Just as Captain Sullenberg couldn't practice landing that airplane in the water, we don't get a whole lot of volunteers wanting chest tubes inserted and airways put down, but we certainly need to know how to do that when the time comes. In addition, obviously the ambulance bay, an OR, a pediatric neonatal area. We have simulators that will simulate the first 10 minutes of a baby's life, which are absolutely crucial, and to have an area for that. Obviously an intensive care unit as well. And this picture really represents a simulation of nursing students in this case, but multiple healthcare areas would have it, and the technician sitting in the tech room that oversees it. So on that side of the building, you could envision very much a clinical space. On the other side of the building, the Assessment and Conference Center, starting again at that very same entry, we would have the health records, the medical records area, which would include computer labs, not only for simulation, but for the computer assessments that are required for licensure. We would have a very large room that served multiple purposes, could seat as many as 300 people for any of the multiple healthcare conferences there are, but also, as you can kind of see, could be broken down into small breakout rooms for any of the conferences there were. This very happy-looking couple are really excited because they are actually watching a streamed simulation coming from the other side of the building. So there are times when the whole building would be in use. We would also have breakout rooms for meetings or that room being broken down into it. And obviously, if you have that kind of a center, you would need some type of catering facility so that we could indeed host some of the many healthcare conferences that are held. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Tammy Rice, Assistant Dean of Health Sciences and Human Services, Director of the Nursing Program, to share with you some of the education and training opportunities that already exist and some of the funding opportunities that we have great knowledge of and are quite real. So, Tammy?
We would like to focus on 3 areas of education and training, and that would be allied health students, healthcare professionals, and the community. What labor statistics are telling us right now that within the next 10 years, there's going to be a 21% growth in healthcare-related jobs and opportunities within LA, Orange County, and Riverside. And that means that's going to be about 1 million new jobs by 2021 in those areas. So we also know that there are not enough places to actually take our students and actually give them the care that they need in those areas. So we are going to have to use more ambulatory care centers and simulation-type centers and or centers of excellence that will give us all the opportunities. The one thing that this center will do for us is that it will give us the opportunity to interact with pharmacy, with human services type of workers. It will also help us to work with the paramedics, the EMS, and with any other healthcare-related occupation that we want to bring in. We'll work with the clinical laboratories. We'll work with electronic medical records. It will be all in one in case so that we'll have interdisciplinary care. The other thing that we would hope to do, too, is that within this area, we would like to be able to address all the needs of all the healthcare disciplines, and we would like to provide the unlimited practice for high-risk, low-frequency types of situations for patients. Now, how would we fund this? How would we do the revenue? There are many areas that we could tap into, but we thought of fee-for-service, and that would be assessment testing. That could be testing for licensure, Or we could also do in-service type training and make it a training center, so they pay a fee for their training. The other thing that would be fee-based courses, and that would be part of the community education. And we would focus on the education in the community for parenting, stress management, obesity. And we could also even actually get into some of the rehabilitation type procedures that they can offer to these people now, wound care kinds of care, anything like that that would help these families in this area. It's a very young area, and so they would be very good at having that opportunity to come there and do some fee-based. Contract ed, we have a lot of incumbent workers that need to be retrained for the jobs that they have and the technologies that they're using, and that also comes into the electronic medical records. A lot of the people that are working in medical records right now are not used to those type of technologies, and they will all need to be retrained, and that would be another fee-based kind of training. Another thing that actually Donna thought of were demonstration centers, and that's where the people that, like when we built our skills lab, how Hillrom donated all the beds that came out of their showroom because they wanted to case those beds. We also have other opportunities with some of the biotech companies, some of the clinical lab companies. We also have people such with the simulation companies, and there are many other vendors that we often use that they could showcase their new supplies and their products within our labs there, and that would be an opportunity for them as well as us. Now, do we believe that we can do this? Yes, we do. We've had a very good revenue and funding in our healthcare experience here at Saddleback College. In the last year alone, we've brought in about $1,500,000, and since 2003, there have been $12 million in grants and partnerships in our healthcare and allied health division. So therefore, we do think that we can do this. We do think that there are funders out there, especially if the need is growing as much as they say it's going to grow. Apparently, there's no one in the Southwest that has a national center, a national training center. So Tustin would be the opportune place. It reaches all three of those counties, LA, Orange, and the Inland Empire, Riverside, and it'd be a perfect place to start this wonderful vision of ours. So if you have any questions at all, I'd like for you to ask them for us. Our main goals are to protect the public and to provide quality care.
Thank you. We have a question from Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, my father would be upset if I didn't bring this up. As an epidemiologist, he would wonder, is there any plan or thoughts to anything to do with preparation for epidemics or pandemics, emergencies, bioemergencies, and things of that nature?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, there are, because through our EMS. Okay. We have some faculty here with us who would also like to speak to you. I'd like to introduce Diane Pestalacci. She is Department Chair for Nursing.
The person you saw kind of jumping the gun is our EMS person who knows all about the real opportunities. We have folks ready to partner with us.
Hi, I'm Diane Pestalacci, and several of you here know that this is not a new thing to us, the simulation idea. As Donna asked me to speak tonight and said, oh, don't prepare anything, just wing it, I thought, great. Timing's everything, though. Had we followed through 5 years ago when this first became a real possibility, when we went and traveled up north and talked to people across the country about building a simulation center, I think it would have been a short-sighted kind of a simulation center. It wouldn't have been as comprehensive as the kind of plan that's developed now. So I think there's a lot to be gained for having waited to see how some of those simulation centers have gone, which ones have been successful, which ones are struggling. And when you see the ones that have been successful, particularly in Texas, some of the bigger regional centers in Indiana, they've been successful because they've had a broad-based approach, a variety of partners, 24/7 usage, multidisciplinary kind of things, just like Tammy and Donna have presented to you tonight so eloquently. Today, as I was cleaning off my desk and trying to sort of pack up things for the semester, I ran across the pins that we give our preceptors who work with our nursing students. And yeah, I have to put my glasses on to read the pin. But it says, Saddleback College, teaching tomorrow's lifesavers. And it really gets you thinking, yeah, we do here teach tomorrow's lifesavers in a variety of disciplines, and we do a really good job of it. You've all heard of our wonderful statistics and our outcomes. I just got a call today from the recruiter at UCLA, say, please send your nursing students to our career fair. We love Saddleback students, and we know that, okay? We do a great job with our students. Our programs aim for excellence, as does the district. However, once they leave, we have absolutely no control over how they get their continuing education, how they maintain their competence, and what kind of outcomes their patients then have. In healthcare, like education, funding is based on outcomes and positive patient outcomes. The Institute of Medicine did a study about 10 years ago, in 1999, that said to err is human. And they said there's about 100,000 deaths a year related to medical error. It was a shocking finding for people. Based on that study, the government started to pour millions of dollars into further study of the problem and how we can improve that, how we can go to a hospital safely and feel like we're not going to be that 5 or 10% that an error is committed to on and have a negative outcome. So this center, I think, helps to address that, helps us to bring our community healthcare providers that the Institute of Medicine should be included in continuing education to promote patient safety, quality education that is evidence-based, that uses technology, that is patient-centered, so that we're not part of the statistic, we're part of the positive outcome, and we just believe that this is the way that we can do it and that we can contribute to positive outcomes in our community. So we really endorse the proposal. I'd like to introduce to you Hensi Chu, who is the department chair for medical lab technologies, and then Larry will finally get his chance.
Hi, good evening, everybody. On behalf of our clinical lab affiliates and our students and also our prospective industry partners, we are very excited for this opportunity because we will be the leader in the development of this clinical laboratory simulated environment. I think she had a map over there of all this simulated environments, and we would be one of the first ones that would open up this type of a healthcare simulated environment.
Could you speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes, sorry. And also, this would really help our students greatly. We have a lot of industry partners who are very excited to showcase some of their equipment in this type of facility. It would really help all of our partners as well in their training of their workers, and also our students will benefit from that and having some of that equipment and that environment to train. So I think that's the most benefit that we will have in this type of center.
And last but certainly not least, Larry Grijalva, who is with Emergency Medical Technologies and Department Chair of the MT program, to finish up.
Thank you very much. I know they're probably over, but I had a couple notes that I wrote while I was listening to them. But this is very exciting, and I'm a little bit frustrated because I don't have enough time to convey what's really important here. But just listen to this. Regardless of your politics, I think the main function of government is the safety and security of the citizens it serves. I think we would agree. Do you know that over 80% of fire department calls, responses are medical related, EMS related, and a huge percentage of law enforcement calls have a medical aspect to them. It's huge. And also, I don't know if you've, those of you who pay attention, we are seeing an increase in the frequency, duration, severity, and intensity of both natural and man-made disasters. That's a sad statement, but it's the reality. More and more, we have a need for our, not only for our public safety responders to be cohesive with the in-hospital people, but we need the community integrated as well, because in a real disaster, the community has to be able to handle it. So this center, the potential is huge, and I'm obviously very excited, and I'm going to take a deep breath. But there's three areas that are, as an EMS person, that I'm focused on. The tactical EMS, unfortunately we see school shootings, and we see those, and there is a need in EMS to have firefighters and paramedics equipped and trained to operate within a hot zone that's not secure. And we need to prepare for that. We know it's happening. We need to be prepared in our elementary schools. That needs to be also integrated, the tactical EMS, with our crisis intervention capabilities. The things that nurses and physicians, paramedics and EMTs see in the field are things that human beings are not designed to see. And so crisis intervention is a second component. Then your disaster preparedness is a huge thing. And that's where our pandemic planning comes in. That's already underway in Orange County. It's been going on, and this center would play a huge part of that. Just, you don't know my background, but 25-year paramedic, Costa Mesa's EMS guy for the past 10 years. So I'm very in tune with what's going on both here as well as the state. I was the EMS chair for California State Firefighters Association, and so I was involved at the state level. So I'm just saying that not to brag, but because this is very important, and I can see the great potential of it. And lastly, we already have partnerships in place with the tactical medical people. That's the only FBI-approved training program in California that wants to partner with us. The crisis intervention people, they're the ones that wrote the curriculum for the peace officer standards and training for the state of California. They want to be involved with us. I'll end there. And I wasn't going to do a joke, but I honestly thought of a joke a week and a half ago in the car. But it's relevant. I was at a traffic light. It just came to me. What do you call it when you're caught in a hurricane and a tornado at the same time? And the answer is a wind-to-wind situation. Now, actually, I'm not a joke writer, but I thought of that. But that's what this is. Saddleback wins. IVC wins, SOCCCD wins, but more importantly, the community wins, and they're going to be the integration of the community with the hospital and the pre-hospital, in-hospital, and law enforcement. Fabulous. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you. Now you know why we told them to speak from the heart and not from a script. Thank you all, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to share that vision. And I promise you will get your handouts.
All right. Does anyone have a comment or question before Saddleback finishes? All right. Thank you so much for both campuses making this presentation for ATEP. We are now at the consent calendar. Do we need a break before that? Anyone?
Like a little break.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to take a brief 5-minute break at this time.
Thank you.
Okay.
You really have a nice shot. Look, the three of you. Hey, what was your
Accreditation. We have to redo our. You go out by the bus. Go by the bus.
Okay.
When do I ever?
Grand idea. Did you hear what Gary said?
Yeah, you said that all that feedback that's coming.
Yeah?
It's coming.
Grace,
Somebody's got a phone, cell phones up here. I have my phone
but,
off.
I mean, I can't turn my cell phone off. I have it on silent, but to turn it off is like.
I'll show you how to turn it off. I can't guarantee you'll get it back on. But did you like that presentation?
It was beautiful, wonderful.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
I saw the helipad.
The ambulance?
Yeah, I saw the helipad thing.
I actually have a Boutonniere Lifeline helicopter that only if you have worked trauma do you get one of those. If you've worked the Lifeline, and I've done that.
Very cool.
Okay, we are ready to continue with our meeting, so we will reconvene our meeting. So if everyone could take their seats. And we are at the consent calendar, so I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, and then if we'll need to pull items, we'll do that. But let's first have the motion to approve the consent calendar. Trustee Prendergast, Trustee Lang.
Yes, I have a couple of items that I'm interested in addressing. 5.1, 5.5, 5.6.
Okay, we're going to pull 5.1, 5.1, 5.5, and 5.6. I'd like to pull 5.12. Any other items to be pulled off the consent calendar? Okay, seeing no more, we will then vote on the balance of the consent calendar based on the motion by Trustee Prendergast. Sorry? No, that's not in here. Okay. All right, so seeing no other comments, let's vote on the item. Trustee Prendergast? Sorry. I'm sorry, there was a comment?
If we pull 5.5, then we should need to pull 5.14 through 5.18 because.
Oh, sorry, 5.14 through 5.18.
The reason is that 5.5, if the board does approve that, then you could approve 5.14 through 5.18.
So 5.5 is related to 5.14
Yes,
through 5.18.
because
So
they're
we're-
related
okay.
to a request for basic aid funding that's related to 5.5.
Okay, Vice Chancellor, let's be more specific than 5.14 through. We want 5.14, 5.15, 5.16, 5.17, and 5.18 pulled, correct?
Correct.
Plus 5.1, 5.5, 5.6, and 5.12. I think that's the most we've ever pulled off the consent calendar.
Sorry about that.
All right, so those items are now pulled, and with that, we will now vote on the balance of the consent calendar. And it looks like it passes unanimously with 2 absent trustees and 1 student advisory vote. We will now move to 5.1, which I believe is Trustee Lang pulled.
Yes, I had one
Correction.
quick correction, and it was on 5.12.
Last meeting's 5.12.
Yes, last meeting's 5.12, and I believe that was a 5-0 vote with Trustee Fuentes abstaining.
He did abstain, so, yes, we didn't have Trustee Jay that night either, so, but so we can make that correction. Do we need a motion to make that correction, or just approve the minutes with that correction? Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes with that correction.
So moved.
Trustee
Second.
Lang and Trustee Prendergast seconded. Let's vote on the item with the corrections. Okay, 5.1 carries unanimously with those following corrections. 5.5, pulled by Trustee Lang.
Yes. The reason that I pulled 5.5 is that I'm actually in support of those other IT projects that we've now wound up pulling, but it seems because, in fact, we have supporting items on this consent calendar that would be funded, and I think those are appropriate projects. I also don't necessarily have a problem with the college portion of this item. However, since the supporting contracts for those are not on this, and since I think we are planning on coming back with a more comprehensive basic aid policy, in which case those college-funded items I would expect would be in compliance with that policy, I'm inclined to want to separate this item, defer the college projects until January, and approve the IT projects. So that's my comment.
Okay, I think that we need staff help on what you're suggesting, because it sounds like from what you're saying that we can't vote on several of these will have to be tabled. So transfer ones. Let me have the Chancellor address this. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay. I believe the case on the scheduled maintenance, and I need some help from the presidents on this, is that these are needed maintenance projects, and they need to know that the money is set aside so that they can begin planning whatever bids or anything. So in other words, if they wait till the allocation comes in, and that might be, who knows, 4 or 5 months, I really don't know how long that'll take, it'll probably end up not being done this year. No, okay, so now that I've said that, the presidents can chime in.
Okay, but is scheduled maintenance not different from what he's talking about with the IT? Is that what you're trying to separate out, Trustee
Yes,
Lang?
that's correct. What I was, my suggestion is we've got the IT projects on the agenda tonight. I think they're worthwhile projects. I'd like to see those projects funded.
Okay.
The college projects are the associated contracts to get that work done are not on the tonight's docket. Those could be deferred.
Sorry.
Those could be deferred a month, by which time I would hope perhaps that we could have the revised basic aid policy come before the board so that we wouldn't have to make an exception for those items.
Okay, you're separating out the IT from the maintenance. When you say college, that's way too broad a term. You're talking about the college maintenance, which is separate from IT, correct?
Correct.
All right, Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons.
Thank you. What you have before you in item 5.5 is a request for basic aid allocation only. But why we wanted to separate that from the contracts and pull them all at the same time was, if you approve this item, then the contracts in 514, 15, 16, 17, and 18 relate to the IT section of this particular item.
Right.
And so what you have before you is a request to approve two things. One is $768,000 for IT-related projects to be funded through basic aid funding through August 31st of 2012. And that is because the contracts that we have currently were going to expire at the end of December, and then the work would be disrupted, and we could lose some, and we need maintenance of some of those very important systems. So that's what those contracts are.
Okay, so 5.5 combines that as well as scheduled maintenance, and I think that's what he's objecting to. So would you like to make a motion on 5.5 to divide the question?
Yes, I would.
Would you do so, please? I'm
just-
going to let him do that. Just a
Yes.
second.
Motion to divide the question between the IT projects and the scheduled maintenance projects.
Okay, and could you please, because you're supporting the IT projects, if you make that motion, we need a second to that motion, then we will make a motion on the IT, and then we'll go to the maintenance, which it seems there's the controversy about. So I have heard the motion to divide the question. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Prendergast. Any comments about the motion on the IT, which is, I believe, what you pulled out? Any comments from other trustees? Prendergast. All right, let's vote on that portion of 5.5. All right, motion carries unanimously. 2 absent trustees, 1 student advisory vote. Now we are at the portion of 5.5 that deals with the scheduled maintenance. I want to hear from President Burnett, and I'll come back to you, Vice Chancellor.
Well, first, Trustee Ling, I think your question is, which makes sense, is that like the IT, it'd be good to have these contracts and have these to go for you to approve. We have a little bit of a, I guess I'll call it a chicken and egg situation going here right now. Is my understanding that in order for us to get the bids and the contracts for these particular, at least for the energy management system, is we have to be ensured that actually it's funded and we have funding availability for it. So I hope I said that correctly. I'm saying that correctly.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons that would cause us. The other thing is that we have to do it through the summer in the various periods. In order to get it through June, time is very, as you had said earlier, I think it was President Padberg as well, or Gary, I'm sorry, had mentioned, that is another issue as well. So hopefully we could get at least an understanding tonight so we know we can move forward.
So if you got the board to approve this, it would then come back afterwards for the specific contracts. So this is just to allocate to preserve the funding. Okay, so it's not actually to spend it. So that's very different. Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons.
Right, that's the distinction, is we don't have existing contracts and work already being performed like we do for the IT, so that was why the contracts were on this month's agenda for IT. But for approval for the basic aid scheduled maintenance dollars, there is a match, so we would be allocating a total of $2 million for basic aid scheduled maintenance projects, of which $1 million, half of that would be funded by the individual colleges. They would then plan these projects and bring back both planning and design contracts as well as construction contracts for these particular items at a future board meeting. For approval
Later. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Trustee Prendergast.
Yeah, I think that's why I seconded this, is along with Trustee Lang. That it's not a blank check. It's not anything that you just, hey, we get $1 million, let's go. So I think I'm more comfortable with it now.
Okay, so are you prepared to make a motion on that portion of 5.5 to support it?
I'd like to speak to that.
Oh, no, but I just need to have I'd like to have a motion so we can discuss it, but no one. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, do we want to hear from Glenn also, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Go ahead.
Well, I think in terms of the process issue, you have a board policy that was passed a couple of months ago that does pretty much cover what we're talking about here. The administrative regulation will also be similar to the path that we're taking. There's IT, district IT on that, as well as scheduled maintenance with a match. In our case, if I can have you believe that playing fields are classrooms, these fields are failing, and basically we are the recipients of most of the region's gophers. As the city begins to fill out, they have decided to come to Irvine Valley College. And that's not good for soccer. It's not good for baseball. But on top of that, Irvine Valley College is on a marsh, and a portion of the soccer field is sinking. So we really do need to address those issues for safety issues. Reasons.
Trustee Lang? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, Lisa?
Just to add to what Dr. Rockmore is saying, as the spokeswoman, if you will, for the faculty that teaches on those classrooms that we call soccer fields, they are dangerous. And I don't think that the board would think twice, for instance, with IT in a classroom such as mine, if my IT was failing and it was making it difficult for me to encourage student success through their training in art history, we wouldn't think twice about making those repairs. And the repairs that are needed by our soccer coaches and our other sports faculty and PE faculty are really very desperate. We have other teams who refuse to play on our fields right now because of the health risk. And so I would really encourage Member Lang and the others to reconsider this evening that separating of the $1 million.
Trustee Pendergast or Trustee Lang?
I'll let you make the motion if you want.
No, I just want to make a couple of additional comments. Again, the item comes to us partly because of concerns that have been raised during the accreditation policy about inconsistencies in the manner in which we've been allocating basic aid. The agenda item as presented to us indicates that we're going to have administrative regulations come to us in January, as I understand it. Is that not the case?
Either at the January or the February Board of Trustee meeting, depending on the actions taken at the Board Policy Administrative Regulation Council in January.
Okay. So my expectation would be is that we have the ability to do a basic aid allocation in January that would presumably be consistent with the policy and the regulations. My understanding is that none of this work is going to happen for quite some period of time. We're merely talking about essentially putting this off a month or a little over a month, and being able to take action that would be consistent with the policy and the regulation. I won't get into some other philosophical issues that I have about some of these situations that have become crisis situations that really probably should have been funded out of college budgets rather than necessarily out of basic aid dollars. Although that tends to be a pet peeve of mine, frankly. But I have no doubt that these are critical areas that need to be addressed. I just think I want to be consistent, with our own internal policy and regulations.
Well, if I could just try to summarize, I think our basic aid policy is that we would use it for one-time expenses. Maybe part of the confusion is when you say scheduled maintenance, it sounds like something that we are scheduling regularly and doing other than a one-time. The things that have been described to me are basically like some of our building repairs that are really one-time expenses that you can't actually schedule and plan, well, okay, every year we're going to have to do this kind of thing, and you keep a reserve for that. So I see these as they've been presented to me, but I've only heard a couple. I'd like to hear more about them, but I have no objection whatsoever to reserving that money for scheduled one-time expenses. No, the problem is using the word schedule. One-time expenses that need to be done for unforeseen maintenance issues. So I'm in support of it, but I'd like to hear from other board members beside Trustee Lang. No? Trustee Melchecker?
Yes, I agree with you. What is our basic aid for, but for emergencies that we have at our campuses, and I don't mean what is it for. Of course it's to help us serve our students the best we can, and one thing that we need to have is a little bit of funds for emergencies, and this sounds like it's an emergency for our students and for the health and welfare and well-being of our students, so I'm ready to support it as well.
Trustee Maldow.
Oops, wrong one. I agree with Trustee Lang. I think one of the issues is that how did this get to be an emergency? And are we going to be requested to do this same kind of thing on an ongoing basis? It seems to me like we're being told that the soccer fields are so bad that we're running the risk of some high liability if somebody gets injured on campus and things like that. And I'm just wondering how it was not taken care of, as Trustee Lang said, by the ongoing maintenance, so that it wouldn't have to come to us as a quote one-time event when in fact it shouldn't be a one-time event.
Okay. Or anyone in administration want to address it? Chancellor.
First of all, I think that these projects are so large that they wouldn't be able to be accomplished with operating funds in any one year. And let me go back and clarify one thing, Nancy. You were talking about scheduled versus deferred. It's sort of terminology the state made us change. It used to be called deferred maintenance, and then the state said, well, that they would give us more money, but they required us to start calling it scheduled. And so now everyone in the business calls it scheduled maintenance instead of deferred maintenance. That's just some minor point about it. But there's about $40 million of unallocated basic aid money. And the items coming forward now, it was no doubt driven by the fact that IT had a particular, more urgent problem. It had to be dealt with right away because the previous contracts were running out. But at the same time, we thought that we might as well bring forward a couple of the maintenance projects that seem to be most desperately needed as far as timing is concerned. There is a whole line of projects, $40 million worth, that are on their way later after this administrative regulation has been adopted. And then within several months, I guess, that you might have the list here. But that probably wouldn't be here fast enough to get the bids out and do the work during this fiscal year, I would project.
Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons.
I just wanted to say that the administrative regulation is forthcoming. The Board Policies and Admin Reg Council will be hearing it hopefully for the final time at the end of January, but we do have to allow that process to unfold and take place. It could very well be that they want to discuss it and confer, and so it could be likely that it won't be coming to the board for your input and your review till February. The spirit of the board policy and the admin reg has been followed with these particular items as far as being large projects, one time. They are already on the priority list for the scheduled maintenance at both of the campuses, and they were seen as what they felt is time sensitive and high priority. And they did work through their internal planning processes at the campus to determine that list already. So those lists are ready to go to take to this newly formed committee that's going to come out of the administrative reg, but obviously can't meet yet till the administrative regulation is finalized. So that's sort of the process, and I have to say that I think it would be undue hardship on the colleges for us to wait, at least to start planning. It's going to take a little while to bring the contracts to the board. By the time those hit the board meeting for your approval, we will already have had the administrative regulation here for your input and review.
So you're just really asking for these funds to be set aside, but the actual okay to spend them will come back to us later.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Trustee Prendergast.
I think in light of that, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve that portion of 5.5. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. Any comments or questions further? Okay, let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries with 1, 2, 3, 4 yes votes, 1 no vote from Trustee Lang, 2 absent votes, and 2 absents, and 1 student advisory yes vote. So now, do you want to go to 5.14 through 5.18 before we go to 5.12, which I pulled?
5.6 is also.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5.6. I guess we better just kind of stay in order. So let's go to 5.6. And who asked for this to be pulled? Trustee Lang?
That would have been me.
Okay. This is Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College student health fee stabilization.
Yes, I just wanted to, I guess, point out that part of the recommendation that we would be voting on tonight would remove the board's input from future health fee increases. And I'm concerned about that.
An automatic health fee increase.
Yeah, I have no problem with the current year, with approving the current year health fee increase. However, I do have a problem with not having oversight over approval of future fee increases.
Okay. And does anyone?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Okay, Trustee Milchecker, go ahead.
I happen to agree with Trustee Lang on this. I could see that because the state actually recommended that we increase the health fee by $1 because of rising health costs for our students, and so we really pretty much you know, we do approve of what the state recommended, but I'd like to keep that control, that we approve of these increases, even though they are somewhat mandated by the state.
Right. Okay. Trustee Meldau.
Well, I just agree with Trustee Lang and Trustee Melchiker. I think it's important for us to maintain that control, so I see no reason to change that.
So do anyone else, Trustee
So
Perez?
I'll make a motion to approve the $1 increase for the 12-13 year, but strike out the
automatic
trigger.
Okay. Second by Trustee Meldau. So let's vote on the item. Okay, carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote. Now we are at 5.14.
1-2.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1-2. I asked that this item be pulled because it says that no trustees have requested to attend this conference, and I believe this is the one that's in Washington in February. Is that correct? Yes. So I'm not sure, but what I may want to go, and Trustee Meldau has also requested that she might be considering going. So I just want that clarification that there may well be, although none have asked, there may be some trustees attending that, but I'd like to go ahead and get it approved if we could. Okay, second. Okay, moved and seconded. No other comments. Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent and 1 student advisory yes vote.
Because this is the National Legislative Conference, and it's a good idea. I don't think any trustees have been to it for years and years and years,
Yes,
and
it's
it's
very
probably a good idea to keep in touch with our local legislators in D.C. as well. So.
Okay, very good. Now we're at 5.4. And this is, again, the software that's related to 5.5 that we approved. So anyone wanting to make comments or want to make a motion to approve this?
No, I'd like to approve all of.
Could you put your mic on, please?
Yes, I'd like to approve all of the IT projects that are indicated here.
So you're asking that we approve 5.14 through 5.18
Correct.
I second.
together. All right, there's a second to that motion. No comments, seeing no objections. Let's vote on that item of approving all those. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 2 absent and 1 student advisory vote. So we are now through the consent calendar, and we've done 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. So we are now at 6.6, and we will ask that this be presented by, Vice Chancellor Brigade.
This item is actually the culmination of about 15 months of work by a consultant that we utilized. The original purpose of using a consultant to look at the classified manager, and then we expanded to the academic administrator's salary schedule, called a classification study. In the process, we went through in each and every single job description, specification, classification, salary replacement was looked at by the consultant. And then she took that and she placed it upon a preset schedule of different colleges and other institutions she looked at for comparison. With that, she also looked at the fact that 16 out of 19 of the multi-college community college districts in California use a combined classified manager academic administrator salary schedule. In our case, we had 2 separate ones, and they're very different. The academic administrator salary schedule had 6 steps to it, where the classified managers had 10. She came up with a compromise, and you'd be surprised it came to 8. So her recommendation to us is that we change the schedule, we combine both salary schedules. In the process, we would actually have 1 step below on the current academic administrator. The 2 steps we would add to theirs, saying from 6 to 8. We'd actually have a lower step to hire people at a lesser rate. We'd also have a higher step for them to achieve as well. So that we'd have some comparison. And also the top of the classified manager salary schedule would be step 10, would be the comparison almost each time for step column 8. So we'd have that. So we're looking at that. And overall, we also had a disparity because we asked her to look at the entire process. In the classified manager salary structure, and this sounds like a small issue, but it really isn't. It's about how long it takes to get from the beginning to the top of a salary schedule. With the 10 steps of the classified managers, there's a 50% salary range between the bottom and the top. And then with the academic administrators, it was a 25% difference. So with a combined schedule, it ends up being 40%. I'm sorry, this is probably too much detail, but it really is critical in the overall. There actually is a science to salary administration that's part of it. So we're looking at trying to make the salary schedule more equitable across the board. So with that, we're recommending this to the Board of Trustees for adoption tonight. Now, this also ties into another board item coming up shortly, in that we're going through some reorganization because, as I mentioned, we actually adopted a large number of new job descriptions and change of duties. For us to go forward with two parts. One of them is what's called a reorganization, which you'll see that embedded into the next two items. You'll see 4 positions coming forward tonight. And with that, there's some big changes there, because some people have picked up additional duties. If you recall previously at Saddleback College, for instance, there was an item adopted for reorganization to a couple positions. We put that on hold until we completed portions of the study. We're at that point now. For us to go through and adopt these positions for reorganization and place them properly, the first step before we even do that is put the new salary schedule in place. So you'll see if the board approves that salary schedule, then tonight when you approve hopefully you approve the academic and classified items, what will happen is those people, there will be 4 of them, will be the first 4 to be installed into that new salary schedule. You'll also see next month, if you adopt that salary schedule tonight, you'll see next month we actually pulled 3 items prior to the meeting, and we're going to go back, look at one of the colleges for more communication process on the campus. You'll see 3 more positions coming forward if everything goes the way we think it will for the January meeting. So that way we'll gradually install the reorganizations into the schedule, and then at some future date you'll see the rest of the group come forward.
Okay. My question is, why isn't our consultant here to address if the study has been done, and this is based on the study? Why don't we have our consultant here?
She could be, but hopefully she armed me with enough information I could share that with you tonight.
Okay. And I understand that most of these people who would be affected by this new salary schedule have had not that this would necessarily give them a raise. In fact, it may give them a decrease. I don't know. But most of them haven't had any adjustment of their salary in over 4 years or more?
Yes, 2007. Okay. We've been very static in the classified manager and academic administrators. There has not been a change to the salary structure since 2007.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Lang.
Yes, can you help me understand what the fiscal impacts of adopting this salary schedule would be?
This salary schedule, we're not complete with all the different positions, but the salary schedule as of tonight, if the board adopts this and we place those 4 positions on there, this is the largest component because this is reorganization rather than reclassification. At this point, we're looking at about a $96,000 difference.
But that's just for the 4 positions.
Just for the 4.
Presumably, if we adopted this study for all of the affected employees, help me understand what that looks like. That you're bringing to us, I guess, next month, is that right?
Yes. Well, what'll happen is next month we'll bring 3 additional positions for the reorganization, and at some future date we'll be bringing forward the rest of the group.
Okay. Ultimately, what's the fiscal impact?
What's the overall cost?
Ultimately.
We've done some preliminary analysis of the fiscal impact, and there's still some uncertainties. Not everything is concrete yet, so I'm not sure if we feel comfortable providing that number to the board yet on just draft information.
Well, can you give us a ballpark range? Because it's kind of hard to grab a hold of this without that. I mean, you're talking about $1 million, $2 million a year?
No.
What are you talking about?
We're talking approximately about $20,000 per month, which is about a little bit over $200,000, if everything were to be as the draft is.
Okay.
I guess my question is maybe somebody can describe what the urgency of adopting this and approving the reorganization, reclassification positions tonight versus when we have all that information. Can somebody help me understand that?
Chancellor would like to address that.
The reorganizations that are on here tonight have been being planned by the colleges for at least a year and a half, in some cases more. And those reorganizations were put on hold because it was decided to have the consultant look at those positions in addition to the classification study, which is being described as coming forward probably in maybe 3 months or 2 months or 3 months. But the consultant did verify that the placement of these particular positions was appropriate. So we didn't think that was necessary to hold up the reorganizations and the plans at the colleges to wait for the rest of the group to be finalized and brought forward.
Okay, Trustee
Didn't
Pinner.
work, did it?
No.
I think what we're if I can speak,
Go ahead.
is we're struggling with what is the function and purpose of this? What is the ultimate goal? And just because 11 other institutions do this, why should we be doing it? And, and is that in the consultant's report that we're missing here? It's like, what's the urgency? Why? And obviously, if it's been going for a year and a half, possibly more, it hasn't been urgent. No, but it's before my time, so I don't know the groundwork. I don't know what was the incentive to start this process 15 months ago, and so forth. So I think that's kind of what we're looking for.
Could we have the two college presidents comment on this?
Yes, in terms of the two positions that I have on here for reorganization, one of them, with the research position, has waited a very, very long time. A portion of that is related to a former confidential personnel matter. It has delayed it. The other part is that there was a decision made to wait until the study is finished before we bring the reorganizations forward, and I believe it's been about a year that has been underway. But in terms of the two positions, research, for example, going from a classified position to an academic manager is extremely important because of additional mandates that we've had from the state of California. Our researchers are now working in accountability reporting, institutional effectiveness, accreditation matters, as well as matriculation. And all of these are academic matters, primarily related to the faculty. So it's important for our researcher to have that designation as an academic manager to do that work appropriately. In terms of our former PIO, and it's now a totally different position, that position used to have one person reporting to it. There's now 11. And so she is responsible now for all of our publication department, all of our television department, our video department, graphics department, as well as web master work. And so that's the reason why we need to make a change there.
Okay, President Burnett.
Sure, thank you. Well, first, there's two questions here. One is the salary schedule. Second is the two positions on the reorg. So I cannot speak to the salary schedule, but obviously we cannot approve these four positions without having the new salary schedule. That's what they're saying. I think we all understand that. The two positions that the Chancellor alluded to, first is a new position called the Director of College Broadcast Services. You all know our very successful KSBR radio station, enormously successful. We have a Channel 39 cable station that isn't nearly as successful. We've never had a director or a manager that has direct oversight over that program or over that channel, a very underutilized asset for this college and this community. We want to have Terry Waddell, who's the director of KSBR, who's willing to take on the additional responsibility of also Channel 39 to make that be up to the caliber and success, hopefully, like our KSBR radio station. It's an enormous job, and he needs to have an increase. And frankly, we're getting a lot of work out of him for a very minor increase.
He's already doing the job. Excuse me for interrupting, but isn't he already doing the job?
He's doing it informally, yes.
Yes.
But technically right now he doesn't have it in his official responsibilities. As you know, we can't do. But we moved everything over for Convergent Media Technologies over to the Division of Fine Arts. You all approved that. And the next step was to do this position, which would formalize that and complete that reorganization, which already half has been approved. And mind you, this has been now going on for over a year, so we've been delayed from getting the progress forward on this position, and which has affecting our programs. The second one, of course, is the Vice President for Administrative Services. That's been going on for years, was actually approved a year ago, as you know, by this board. In fact, we were praised for that reorganization, and because of the good wisdom of the board waiting for this, which made a lot of sense to wait for this, we're now able to come forward with that position, which was approved previously, and finally get that done, because as you also know, we are having a tremendous need there, tremendously in a college in the size of Saddleback, to only have 2 vice presidents, and having everybody report, frankly, to me, doesn't work as well, and we're having a disservice to all the other non-student services and non-instructional elements of the college. So hopefully that gives you a real quick summation.
Okay. Any questions or comments from other trustees? Trustee Lang.
Thank you. I happen to agree with all of the recommendations that you've made. That isn't my issue here. What my issue is really a process one, and that is that it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse here. You've made these recommendations, which I think are good recommendations. I think the people are doing a terrific job, but we don't have the study. We don't have the fiscal impact of what these changes are going to be. And in my view, waiting 2 months to have that information after we've waited a year and a half, seems like the right thing to do from an oversight perspective. So.
Okay. Chancellor?
Well, we do know what these positions cost, and Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons just said it's $96,000.
Yes, it's about $8,000 per month, $8,006 exactly per month, and that comes out to $96,000 annualized for these 4 positions that are going to be reorganized. I did have the same type of conversation, Trustee Lang, with the consultant myself, because I'm coming into the district this summer. Obviously, the study was already underway, and her statements to me was that the positions that are being reorganized are substantively changing their roles at the college. They're, in some cases, taken on departments, in one case, multiple departments under these people's supervision, and that it was quite a distinct difference between what her role is, the consultant's role in, as far as doing the rest of the classification study. And so she saw it as something that was sort of separate from the rest of the group, and shouldn't be held up while the rest of the study is being completed. We do have preliminary figures, again, for the study right now, but of course there's a process that needs to take place. Each of the individual employees need to actually review their job description, see if it's accurate, and be able to provide feedback to the consultant prior to us making recommendations to the board. So she felt that if it's possible for the reorganization positions to move forward and not wait for the rest of that, that was what her recommendation was.
But obviously, with the 4 you're recommending, she's done that with them, right? Okay, Trustee Pendergast.
I just knowing the consternation that the group had over faculty getting $2,000 a year increase from the salary schedule, to just snap our fingers and give $25,000 raises to 4 people needs a little more discussion than what we're getting right now.
Well, I think it's for some of our trustees who haven't been here for many years, like some of us. We do have a process in place where if you are working basically out of your class, you can file some sort of appeal. I don't know, it's not exactly a grievance, to have your job reviewed and have your job upgraded. That is not what happened here. It's that the administration looked at this and asked these people to take on these additional responsibilities. And in doing so, other jobs that were in place, I believe, have been not cut, but they haven't been there. So there's some savings in my mind for having these people do multiple work, and it's really working out very well, in my opinion, at least with the Channel 39 being combined with KSBR. But I would be in support of just these 2 positions, but not putting anyone else in until we get the actual full report from Mary Grout. I trust that you are the 2 that are on the board, on 4, I'm sorry, 4, not 2, tonight. I trust that you're representing what she said, but I think if we're paying a consultant, she ought to be here to talk to us. So, and is she not finished? It's taking a very long time for this study to be done.
We're doing some internal adjustments with some positions still. So part of it is actually feeding her information. So,
okay, if we approve this salary schedule, will it have any impact immediately over anyone but the 4 we're recommending tonight?
No.
Okay, so there's no real major risk in that, and this would only, I guess, be an increase of what for 4 people over the year 90,000. Okay, but that's because they are doing extra work. Their jobs have essentially doubled in many cases. Is that correct? Okay. Any Trustee Pendergast? Do you still want to comment? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to approve this one item?
I'll move to approve the salary schedule.
Okay. Do you hear a second?
Okay, I'll second.
It's seconded by Trustee Milchecker. And with the understanding that you're only approving that, and then before we go farther, we're going to have more detail coming back, right?
yes.
That is correct. No one is being placed on the salary schedule unless you approve items 6.7 and 6.8.
Right.
And that would only be the 4.
Right. Okay. So any other questions or comments, trustees? Let's vote on the item. Okay, the matter carries with 3 yes votes and 2 no votes and 2 absents and 1 student advisory yes. Okay, so.
Doesn't pass.
Pardon me?
Doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass?
No, it doesn't pass. You need 4 votes to have.
Okay, so I guess the matter doesn't pass. So with that, the next 2 items, 6.9. We don't have a 6.9. Where are we? 6.7, sorry. 6.7. You want to present that matter?
Based upon that vote, I'll have to actually ask the board to pull item
6.7, 6.8.
pull item. Yes, B1, the whole thing, the B1, 1A, and
Wait, I'm
1A1.
sorry, where are we? Are we on 6.7, 6.8? Huh?
6.7 on page 4.
Right.
I'd like to ask the board to pull B1.
B1. Okay.
No changes other than that.
Okay, so is everyone clear? There's been a vote or a motion to approve this item with the exception of B1, correct? Or B1A?
Yes.
B1. Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Milchecker. Let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously with 2 trustees absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. Let's move to 6.8.
I'd ask the board to pull item number A1B,
Okay.
D1A, D1B,
Oh, sorry. D1A.
D1A, and that would also be the subheading there with D1A. What are we going to call that? That's an I, or is that a baby Roman numeral
I.
1?
1.
All of D.
All of D?
All of D.
Okay, sorry. So we'll go back. So we're going to pull A1B and all of D.
Yes.
All right. All right. With those items being off of this item, I will entertain a motion to move by Trustee Lang. Trustee Milchecker seconded, correct? Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 2 trustee absents and 1 student advisory yes vote. So I believe that is the end of our action items. We are now at 7.1, and this is student learning outcomes. And this is a report. I had asked that we come back with a report for us to see how we're doing. Did I have, yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need to do that one out of order then? Pull that one forward? Okay, I've been corrected. We had an add-on item, which is 9.1, and that is an action item, so we're going to advance that before 7, and all of the items in 7. So 9.1 is for approval, and this is to the Chancellor, Saddleback College's, let's see, you're recommending that the board approve the announcement of positions and recruitment of the replacement of full-time faculty as shown in Exhibit A.
Second.
Okay, seconded. Questions or comments? No? All right, let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 2 absent trustees and 1 student advisory vote. Now we're at 7. So I'd like to see if there is any progress or change in student success and where we are with that. Presidents?
What you have in front of you is a very thorough report, and this was authored primarily by our Academic Senate President, Lisa Davis Allen, here, along with Kathleen Worley, I believe, assisted as well. From my vantage point, this outlines a very clear plan that I have confidence will lead us to the proficiency level by the time the ACCJC comes to assess our status. I think it's a very sustainable process here that incorporates a lot more progress than that I imagined was in place. And I think this very exercise actually brought that to the forefront and had us realize that we are farther along and will be meeting that deadline.
And when do we expect them to come?
It's not clear at this point.
Okay.
What I've been told by the ACCJC is that if you have a report or a visit within the 2012-2013 academic year, that's when your assessment will occur. Neither college has one of those. And so the commission is in the process now of coming up with a special report that would be very likely due sometime in the fall.
Okay, great. Oh, sorry. Lisa, yes.
Just to add to that, just briefly, I included the ACCJC 2007 rubric in the report. One of the reasons that I did that was so that you could see in their language the major steps from awareness, development, proficiency, and sustainability, so that you understood that when they are asking for 2012 fall proficiency, that proficiency is actually at 75% of the sustainability that they hope to see after fall 2012 over the next few years. So I was hoping that that would help you as well to realize that they're expecting us to actually be at 75% of the full process, and the institutionalization of this work in our coursework as part of our sustainable assessment that we've done all along. Now we've just given it a name.
Great.
At Saddleback College, as you might recall, we were very proud that we received a commendation, actually, from the last visiting team for our student learning outcomes. And they specifically pointed out our faculty and academic senate for the fantastic work that they've done. This report shows and it states that we are very confident and fully confident that we will be getting to proficiency level by the time period in 2012. So unless I'm being told otherwise, which I'm not, we are very excited to say that we will be there. And once again, we owe it all to our terrific faculty.
And that's 7.2 item, right? Yes.
Was that different?
That's fine.
Actually, I was speaking to IVC. They're doing great. They're going to be done, too.
That's okay. I like you're getting ahead of me a little bit. That's fine. Okay, 7.3 is a report on Saddleback College. I'm sorry, Trustee Lang, go ahead.
On 7.1. Just on the IVC report, the only thing that concerned me a little bit was the last bullet point in the middle of the page where it talked about while assessment is ongoing, a smaller percentage of course and program SLOs have completed assessments and identified avenues to affect quality improvement. Oh, I'm on 7.
Could you use your mic,
the
please?
last bullet point in the middle of the page.
Exhibit A?
Yes, while assessment is ongoing, a smaller percentage of course and program SLOs have completed assessments and identified avenues to affect quality improvement. Part of what that means is that with the track DAT not yet launched and in place, much of the assessment that the faculty has been doing is done manually inside their offices, and the data collection is with them. As we begin to launch at the end of this month and into January, we expect to see a very quickened pace as now information that is manually at hand begins to load itself into a tracking device that actually allows us the ability to see that percentage more specifically.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Okay. Any other comments about student learning outcomes? Okay, very good. We are now at the report on Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any comments or questions on this? 7.4 is the basic aid report. Comes to us every month. Any comments on that? 7.5 is a facilities plan status report. Yes, Trustee Maldell.
Yes, going to the life sciences project, one of the sentences in here that has been on here for a while is the project has had a rough start. And yet we keep going, and it seems like when I took the tour over there, the project seemed to be going quite well. And I'm wondering whether or not we're beyond the rough start. If we have any problems, what's going on? The rough start doesn't really tell me a lot now since it's been on there for a while.
I could speak just briefly to that, and then Brandy can add if it's not enough. Construction start date was intended to be approximately May of 2012, and when reviewing this morning with Brandy, the current schedule is approximately 6 weeks behind, so it's likely to be a construction start date now of July 2012. And then Brandy could fill you in on the other specifics related to that rough start if you'd like more information.
I thought it's already under construction. It's already under construction.
Hello.
Well,
is this on? You guys hear me? Okay. So, as Dr. Fitzsimmons said, we are 6 weeks behind schedule, so we continue to have we are continuing to experience problems in our projects as a result of that rough start. What I meant when I said rough start was the contractor wasn't prepared when the board approved the contract initially to move forward. He didn't have the experience of districts who move as quickly as we do on projects, wasn't prepared to mobilize, lost 4 weeks then, told us for about a 2 to 3 month period of time that he would be catching up when the steel went up. He was supposed to have steel completed by the end of November, and we're into December now, and he continues to be in that process. So we're not seeing the promised improvements.
What are our options if we're not getting that improvement that he's promised us?
By contract, he's required to provide us with a recovery schedule, and we're at a place now where we should be asking that for that from him. It's very challenging in these economic times to drop a hammer on a contractor who's having a hard time with his subcontractors. A lot of times what happens, and what's happening in this case, is we have a general contractor that we have a contract with, and then that general contractor has contracts with 20 to 30 subcontractors. In this environment, many of those subcontractors are having challenges meeting their contractual obligations. And so remedies that we would have taken in a more promising economic time are not reasonable remedies in this time frame, meaning there aren't as many subcontractor options out there that there were previously. So we do our best actually to work with the contractors now, but with 6 weeks behind schedule and no improvement as was promised with steel, it is time for us to ask for a recovery schedule and see what their plans are.
Yeah, I'd like to know that. So if we are continuing to have those problems, rather than just saying it's had a rough start,
more detail in the facilities report is what I think I'm hearing you say.
Okay.
Trustee
Also,
Melchiker, I'm sorry. Oh.
maybe you can answer another question too. On the A400 renovation and expansion project, I'm fuzzy. I don't really remember what was going on, but the project was originally estimated at $3 million, and now it's at $11.5 million.
Correct.
So we're like 4 times over what the estimated budget was originally. Maybe you can tell me how that happened.
Okay. During the original considerations for this project, it was A400 is a building that is currently being used for life sciences purposes. Those life sciences functions will be moving over to this new building. So the idea was that we would go in and do interior improvements on that building. During the education and facilities master planning process, it was determined that the best use for that building would be renovation and an increase on the building.
Okay, you're right. As a matter of fact, I remember talking about that very thing with Dr. Rockmore now. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, move to, go long again. Extend the meeting till 9:15.
Second that. All right, let's vote on extending the meeting for 15 minutes. Okay. Trustee Melchiker, could you vote?
Oh, yes.
Okay, carries unanimously, 2 absent votes and 1 advisory vote. Let's go forward then, if that's any more comments on that. Basic aid report. 7.6 is the monthly financial status report. Comments or questions? Okay, 7.7 is the retiree trust fund report. Oh, I'm sorry, Deborah. I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
It's okay. On item 7.7, the reason you're seeing it again is, I don't know if you recall, but last month Trustee Fuentes had asked that we start to bring this report once a month.
Right.
And this is the monthly report. I wanted to point out a little bit addition to the format. If you take a look at page 2, we now have a graph that shows the history of our market values since the inception of the trust. Okay. Then what we have on page 3 is the month-by-month, month-end values, as well as the contributions to the right in the second column. And I think it does give you a little bit of an understanding of how the market has, particularly over the last year, really have gone up and down. But it also gives you a sense that we are in this for the long haul.
Great. That's very good information to have. Okay, seeing no comments, let's go to 7.8, follow-up information on requests for board reports. And this is an item also that was requested by Trustee Fuentes, wanting to know if our consultants had information on the distribution of party registration by districts, and that's provided here for everyone's benefit. Any comments or questions about that? Okay, seeing none, we're now at the reports part of our agenda. So we will go with the Saddleback College Academic Senate.
Dan Walsh, Saddleback College Academic Senate. Congratulations to 52 nursing graduates. Tomorrow night is the pinning ceremony at 7 p.m. in McKinney Theater. I encourage all of you to attend. It's the end of the semester, so busy time for faculty in addition to working on curriculum and the hiring committees. We've already begun gearing up for accreditation. It's coming back again. Faculty are attending a statewide workshop in February and have made arrangements for at least one vice chancellor to participate as well. So we're encouraged by the continued support of district services. That's it.
Great. Okay, and our faculty association, Louis Long.
Thank you. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Student Success Task Force, who at the arrangement of President Burnett held a open house on this campus, has released recently at the end of last week its report, which will go to the Board of Governors in January, on January 9th. The Faculty Association, in response to an affiliated organization, is asking the Board of Trustees to consider using its lobbying ability and its contacts at the state level to urge the legislature, the state chancellor's office, and the Board of Governors to allow a longer period of time for review of the recommendations, because it will affect these recommendations, if adopted by the Board of Governors, will affect our students' ability to access education here and are also potentially our board's control over our own district. And so it is very important that we have a longer period of time to assess the effects of these on how we do business, on these recommendations, how we do business before they are implemented.
Yeah, I think they.
A comment?
My only comment was, aren't they supposed to go to the legislature in January? And it does seem like it's too short. It really does.
Especially considering the scope of the recommendations, yes. And especially considering that it's taking place over a holiday period where very few people, including the Board of Governors themselves, will be actually able to review what's going on.
I agree.
Okay, Irvine Valley College Academic Senate, Lisa Davis Allen.
I'll be short. I've had plenty to say this evening, except to say that the faculty continues the work of the Senate. We're closing up our semester, as faculty at Saddleback are as well, and gearing up for our hiring, moving forward on that, looking forward to a busy spring. It's been a busy fall, very busy fall with accreditation. We're hoping not to see them for a couple of years, so we're all keeping our fingers crossed. So they don't want another annual report from us this January. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Have a great holiday and a good New Year. I'll be breathing the Gulf air, getting back in fighting form again, and then I'll be back for the spring.
Okay, and our Associate Vice Chancellor of Economic Development, Randy Peoples.
Good evening. Thank you. Nothing beyond my written report, and happy holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And IVC President, Glenn Rockmore.
I will primarily stick by my written report. However, I want to congratulate everyone that was reelected to various positions tonight on the dais. Congratulations to you. But I want to thank in front of you the IVC team that has been doing a series of presentations for you at the board meetings. And so Lisa Davis Allen for the Academic Senate, Greg Justice, Gwen Plano, Kathleen Worley, and Chris Tarman just the other day on the ARC report. Just so you realize the extra effort from the day-to-day to present these reports. We're thrilled to do it, but I just want to recognize the work that they put into that. And happy holidays.
Thank you. Yes, very valuable work. President Burnett.
Likewise, I'm very thankful to all the wonderful staff, administrators, faculty, and managers that have worked on these presentations. Hopefully you've seen that. Thank you, Chancellor Portner. I think certainly in going on my fourth year, this has been the most presentations, I think, in depth analysis on a host of issues that are very important to our students. So I appreciate, and I said it before, thank you for taking an interest, because this support is what we need to really achieve our mission and achieve our vision. With that, first, congratulations, of course, to the President, Vice President, and Clerk. Once again, we're thrilled to be working with you again. And all the rest of you that have your assignments. Congratulations. Wanted to let you know, and you've probably received the invitation, but our annual college holiday party is Tuesday, December 13th, 4 p.m. at SSE 212, and we give out a lot of goods. So hopefully you'll make it. It's really fun every year, and, you know, Sophie Miller puts that on, and she's just fantastic. Finally, it sounds so horrible, but Flex Week in January is already here, and we're not going to see you since then until after that in a board meeting. So you'll send out emails, but you're all very much invited to our January, spring Flex Week activities. So hopefully we'll see you at a few of those as well. And happy holidays to you all.
Okay. And our Vice Chancellor of Technology, Robert
No
Bemidji.
report this evening.
Okay. And our Vice Chancellor of Human Resources.
Happy holiday season. One of the great gifts that we have here at South Orange is being where we're at. The Board of Trustees implemented great policies years ago for our finances, and we're going to have, for the third year in a row, the largest faculty recruitment in the state of California for community colleges. The other colleges are hurt so financially that we'll be only one of 6 colleges at the Los Angeles Job Fair. And 4 years ago, there were 52 colleges there. So we are very fortunate indeed.
Wow.
So with that as a positive note, because life has been good for this district. Thank you much, and have a great holiday season.
Thank you. Okay, Vice Chancellor Fitz.
No report tonight, thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, Dennis Gordon, President, IVC Classified.
I just wanted to be aware that tomorrow night a group of 20 of our...
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Tomorrow night a group of 20 of our classified employees are going to be representing Irvine Valley College at Operation Christmas Child Warehouse up in Irvine. And we'll be packing and shipping boxes to needy children around the United States. So I just wanted you to know that. Happy holidays to all of you, and enjoy.
Thank you. Okay. And Don Minio, Saddleback College.
Hey, since it just turned 9 o'clock and you've heard me all semester, I'll just give up on my report today.
We have to go to 9:15.
Oh, I know. But I don't get 15 minutes. We are looking over the new student success manual that came out in the email today. Congratulations or condolences on your new positions. And thank you for completing the last year successfully. And we're just helping students. We're going to be starting in service, and then we go right back into the semester. So classified is very busy this time of year. And happy Hana Kwanzaa Miss. That hits everyone.
All right, thank you. And I'm so sorry. We are at the point of adjournment, and I need some help here. We're going to adjourn. You have it. Misplaced it. Yeah, the adjournment. Too many pieces of paper. Too many pieces of paper here. Could I ask Terry to help me out? I know. You did. It's lost in a million pieces of paper. I'm so sorry. What happened to it? I have it. Okay, tonight we are going to close in the memory of Joe Tenervia, who passed away. Joe was a Saddleback College Associate Faculty Member in the Division of Business Science and Economic and Workforce Development. He was a respected author, writer, and editor, having recently assisted with the College Accreditation Report. He's also a generous mentor to many, many students. His contributions will long be remembered, and I do apologize. Have a great holiday, everyone.